Hello?
Hello, Jughead. This is Archie. Come over right away. It's a matter of life or death.
Oh, relax, Archie.
Attention, all true believers. Marvel Comics is on the air.
A friend of the unfortunate, enemy of criminals. In reality, Dan Garrett, a rookie patrolman, loved by everyone but suspected by none of being the Blue Beetle.
Boys and girls, your attention, please. Presenting a new exciting radio program featuring the thrilling adventures of an amazing and incredible personality.
Faster than an airplane, more powerful than a locomotive, impervious to bullets.
Up in the sky, look!
It's a bird, it's a plane, it's Superman!
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Hey, everybody, and thanks for coming out west. I'm one of your hosts, Christopher, a.k.a. the Bronze Age Nerd, and I am joined by my reluctant co-host, my terrified partner in crime, that is...
Ravishing Rick Rude. No, wait.
I knew it.
Bigby McFly, the comic guy.
Bigby McFly, the comic book guy, my compatriot, my friend here. I'm just playing, making the joke that he's scared to be here with me tonight. Because we are both a little terrified of something that might happen tonight. Just gotta kind of be aware that we have a giant storm that's approaching. I heard monster storm, a lot of wind. So there's a really good chance that one of us or both of us could lose power at some point. We're a little bit far enough apart that I bet you we wouldn't lose it at the exact same time. So one of us can probably keep doing the show. But just be warned, if we suddenly go off the air, it's probably a power outage, and we'll try to come back if we can. If we can't, we'll try to wrap up the rest of the show some other time. That said, speaking of the show, you're watching us right now. Maybe you're watching over on Bigby McFly, the comic book guy's channel. Maybe you're watching over on the Bronze Age Nerd channel, but you could also be watching over on the EXP network of comic book shows that takes place over on the EXP YouTube channel and their Facebook page and their Twitch, and all kinds of fun stuff like that. Links are in the description below for those channels, so I highly recommend checking it out. Speaking of checking things out, let's check out the chat, where this must be on one of the other channels, because I know I was looking on my channel and GT Key Comic came in first. So Derek, I don't know if you're on the EXP or Bigby's channel for the source there, but you made it first in all the overall comments. So you are our gold medal winner this week. And bringing up silver, we got Richard Westfall. And then coming in that special bronze place medal, we've got GT Key Comic, who was leaving it down with his standard arrangement of hand signals that he likes to use, and we appreciate that. Oh man, there we go. Got comic tropes coming in hot for our topic. If you didn't see the thumbnail, or you're not aware of what our main topic was going to be tonight, we are going to get to that a little bit later in the show after we discuss some news, which there actually is quite a bit of news this week too.
There's a ton of news. Yeah,
there's a lot. But we are going to talk about the Avengers lineup that should be like Sam Wilson's Avengers in the MCU. Chris is coming in there with his vote, so we're going to kind of come back to that a little bit later. Just to kind of let everybody know, so Bigby, you watched Captain America Brave New World, right?
I did, yes.
And I did as well. I went to the theater to go see it yesterday with my lovely wife, the Copper Age Babe, and had a great time. It was really fun. I think that the way we're going to talk about, we might kind of talk about some things before we do the Avengers talk that are reaction spoiler free kind of stuff,
right?
And then if we have time at the end of the show, if we still have power, maybe we can kind of give you a warning and do some spoiler filled review kind of stuff at the very end of the show. How's that sound?
Sounds fair.
Cool. So no worries about major spoilers. I think we'd only react to stuff that's like directly visible in the trailer. You can kind of infer that these things are going to happen.
I mean, when the Beyonders showed up and he was wearing a tutu and he had the magic wand, I was kind of confused. But
it's terrifying. It's terrifying. But you know, those Russo brothers are coming back and they want to do Secret Wars. Gosh dang it. I'm going to read Chris's follow-up comment when I approach his comment when we get to our main topic. Let's see here.
I did have some of his second comment in my. I was like, oh, I need a little diversity in my team.
And the wind has begun. I have my kitchen window open, and things are being blown over in there already. If they do lose power, Jay will play spots until he gets the go ahead to end the show. There you go. You can be absolutely thrilled to watch all those spots. So we got lots of news. I think we should kind of just get into it. I think I have just community art in the show notes. I just wanted to remind everybody that we did announce the winner for the community art contest. If you happen to miss last week, Actual Dracula was our winner for the 2024 community art competition that we run. We do have community artwork. We have lots of great pieces again that we want to share. We'll do that towards the end of the show before we do any spoiler stuff. Don't worry about that. Lots of great stuff. So stay tuned for that. If you want to submit some art, all you got to do is like send it to Bigby or me on Instagram or anywhere you can get a hold of us. I mean, that's fine. People that don't have any social media
who have been sending it.
Yeah.
A lot of people have been sending art. So thanks to the people who have been sending it.
100%. If you don't have social media, you can always just send it to me through email. That's thebronzeagenerd@gmail.com. Or if you want to contact me about any other, pyramid schemes, chain letters, Bloody Mary, that kind of stuff. Hey, there you go.
Can they send it to you like folded up in an envelope, like fan art like they used to do in the old days?
Oh, that would be awesome. I would totally get down for that. Yeah, if anybody needs to send cool stuff to my PO box, let me know. I can hook you up with that.
What about uncool stuff?
If anybody needs to send cool stuff to my PO box. But we've got so much news. I'm just going to hit the ground running on that because
let's do it.
I want to make sure we get to our main topic. But this is a biggie. Lots of sources covered this because the news came out of Comics Pro. This is actually from the Nerdist, which is a great site for a lot of news sources, nerdy stuff. But yeah, we got Marvel and DC having their first crossover. They say first event in decades, and I guess technically that's true, but that's one of those ones that just makes me feel old because I'm like decades.
Right? It was 90s, right?
It was technically, and I mean, yes, technically correct is the best kind of correct, but man, that just hurts.
That's pretty cool. Is that Jim Lee down there?
That appears to be Jim Lee.
Yeah,
they don't say that. I would be surprised.
It does appear to be Jim Lee.
Yeah. Based on the faces and the art style I've come to know and love, I'm going to say it is. But yeah, so this came out of Comics Pro. We got a team up between DC editor-in-chief Marie Javins and Marvel editor-in-chief CB Cebulski. They're announcing the two-part crossover that's going to take place over 2 one-shots. Of course, Marvel's going to publish one, DC's going to publish the other. No other details were revealed at this point, but
Chris is correcting us. 2000.
Well, he's correcting the article. I mean, I
said 90s. So
yeah, well, that's true. Yeah, but I mean, that's still technically 20 years, I guess, 21 years. Right. So
I like the little thing over there, Idris Elba to play Duncan in live action Masters of the Universe.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, they keep trickling out Masters of the Universe stuff. That's weird because I think they're filming part of that right now. Because I saw some set photos come out. Figure Drawn comes in with the hot take. He wants to come in right away and say that this is a money grab.
Fail. Well, usually when they do those big crossovers, that's what they are. It's a big money grab. But
and I'm trying to think. Going back to the ones that they've done, I think maybe the only one that I really enjoyed was the Amalgam stuff. Because it just felt like different.
JLA Avengers. I thought it was all right.
I don't remember it well. I need to reread it, especially kind of in honor of George Perez a little bit there too. I should probably go back and reread that.
Yeah, I think the thing that they don't have a lot of lasting impact stuff in that stuff. So
yeah,
I think one of the things that came out of JLA Avengers was Dr. Fate and Doctor Strange talking about Scarlet Witch and chaos magic.
Yeah.
And they're like, there's no such thing as chaos magic. And that's when they revealed that it was all her mutant powers, basically. So it was interesting.
Good, you know what? Good call on Uncanny X-Men Teen Titans and Superman Spider-Man. Yeah, I actually
X-Men Teen Titans.
I never read that one.
X-Men Teen Titans was awesome.
Yeah, that's a solid one. Yeah, those are what, all but one of them.
Wolverine. That was pretty cool.
there was just one more crossover between them that I can think of.
Superman or Spider-Man, or was it Hulk and Batman? Hulk and Batman, right?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Hulk, Batman,
Silver Surfer.
Yeah, there's a Surfer Superman. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, there's been a few.
For me, I think the interesting kind of topics that'll come out of this are: is it going to be any versus stuff, or is it going to be like, are the characters even going to remember each other because they've met before, or is it going to be like a first meeting kind of a thing with new continuity? Like, that's what I'm interested in, is kind of like, how are they going to handle it? Because if they approach it from oh, we remember you and this whole thing happening before, I think that's maybe more interesting to me.
The Marvel characters could, but the DC characters have gone through so many relaunches.
I know. That kind of makes it. I mean, unless whatever kind of dimensional magic or whatever that brings them together maybe allows them to remember each other. I don't know. Yeah, this is like, it's new territory, right?
Right.
So, do you remember the first book co-published by Marvel and DC? I don't. Bigby looks like he might have a notion.
I don't know. Okay. I'm curious. Thinking, from my memory, is X-Men Teen Titans, but there's probably something before that.
Okay, so X-Men Teen Titans was before Superman Spider-Man?
Yeah, I thought that might even be before X-Men Teen Titans. I'm just maybe misremembering the order of stuff.
Oh, Wizard of Oz. Okay. Interesting. Man, that's a cool pull. And I'm not familiar with
it's a treasury book, right? It's like a giant size treasury book.
Oh, okay. That makes sense. It seems like all that kind of stuff usually is treasury from like before 1980 or something. If I was Marvel and DC, I'd do a swap. Marvel can loan DC Pepe Larraz, for example, and DC could loan Jorge Jimenez to Marvel. Both would be on big books for a limited run. Fans would eat it up. That's actually not a bad idea.
That would be kind of cool.
The thing that, I mean, I'm actually pretty down for that, but why not like lend a character to, like lend, have Daredevil show up in Gotham, or have something like that would be fun. But that's a cool idea. I'm not against that.
Like Marvel kind of did that with Malibu for a while, right? They put the Black Knight over in the Malibu universe, and Juggernaut was over there, and a bunch of characters. That was kind of interesting. That was their own company. They owned that company too, but
yeah. Yep. Yeah, I think kind of going along. I'm just riffing off your idea of figure drawing, which I think is a good one. Oh wow, it's almost like a deep cut for me, because honestly, I think I kind of line up a little. Like, I can understand what figure drawing saying in his first message, because these things, they're cool. I read them and then I honestly forget about them, because the stakes are always so non-existent, especially when they're fighting. It's like, okay, well, they usually aren't going to have it so one character just stomps the other character, because DC doesn't want to watch Batman get defeated by Wolverine necessarily, like in a true way. It's just usually one of those things where it just seems like the stakes are always so low. So they're fun and I move on. So I hope they do something that's maybe more of a unified threat kind of a thing. Seems cooler to me, or like a new threat that they have to kind of, have their heavy hitters come in on.
Well, that's JLA Avengers that's what was going on. Yeah. They didn't stop them from fighting each other for a while, but
right. But at the same time, I also think that, like, with two books, you're not going to have much. You're not going to have, even if they're larger books, you're not really going to have much room there to tell a whole lot of narrative that's going to be entertaining, in my opinion. It's got to be pretty tight and sweet, and I think these guys, they look at this, and if it does great, maybe they're willing to do more of it. If it doesn't do great, they're not going to do it again for another 21 years.
Right.
What's up, Actual Dracula? How you doing?
Hey,
he must have heard us talking about him, talking about his win. Deadpool and Batman have to team up to stop Paste Pot Pete. I love it. You worked Paste Pot Pete in there.
Pretty
Triple P. So speaking of DC, let's talk about the first article that I came up with for this week. It's interesting for a couple of reasons. This is from Bleeding Cool, and the headline here is interesting because it says DC Comics cancels Shazam, Two-Face, and Power Girl 2. The interesting part about this is, as far as I'm aware, Two-Face actually wasn't canceled. I believe Two-Face was designed to be a 6-issue run with an option for 12 issues that wasn't extended.
Right.
So that's an interesting one to me, because that is the last issue that they talk about in this article. But nitpicking aside, they're talking about there's a new Supergirl series coming out in May, but it seems to have come at the cost of the cancellation of Power Girl, as there's no solicitation listing for such in DC Comics solicitations for that month. It's also notable that DC has no Shazam solicit for May or April. The last issue solicited for each is Shazam 21 in March and Power Girl 20 in April. The other thing to me about this is I saw this on Reddit getting talked about quite a bit. I think that's actually where I saw the first link get shared. And I always like kind of checking in with Reddit, because compared to Facebook or Twitter or X or whatever, you get a little bit different cross section of fans. Like, I feel like there's a lot more moderate group of readers there than compared to some of those other places. And it was interesting to talk about people. There was somebody saying something like, oh, Leah Williams has been getting a lot of hate for her Power Girl series, some stuff like that. And then there were people like, well, what are you talking about? Like, Leah Williams, she did a really good job on X Factor. Like, people really like her, right? And it's funny because you think about the bubbles that people are in, and I've definitely heard of a lot of hate for Leah Williams. I'm actually a fan of hers. I really liked her X Factor run, and I loved Exterminators. I thought that was a lot of fun. I haven't read the new Power Girl series yet. I really want to, and now I'll probably just read the whole thing when it's available. But it is interesting, kind of seeing some of that discourse. I know people said Shazam kind of faltered for a while, seemed to be the opinion in what I was reading. I wasn't on that title, so I wasn't really checking it out. But they said that the last arc was pretty good and it was kind of coming back, is what I saw a few commenters saying. So either way, the other thing about Power Girl I wanted to mention real fast before we move on, or before we get some other opinions about this, is there is kind of this interesting thing that's been happening where it seems like Power Girl and Supergirl series can't really coexist. Like, they have to have one or the other the last few years, which I saw that sentiment shared too. And I definitely think that's been interesting to follow. I should mention the other thing too, is people were saying that a lot of people don't like Leah Williams' run because they want more of the Jimmy Palmiotti, Amanda Connor kind of DNA, essentially, that was kind of in that series, which is one of my favorite solo series for a character that I didn't originally care that much about. It's what got me into Power Girl. So I can understand the love for that series, but I think that there's got to be some latitude for other approaches to the character. Of course, we want to see different versions of characters and good stories. But as somebody who hasn't read it, I don't really feel qualified to say maybe it is kind of lackluster, but I thought that was interesting, at least.
Yeah, you never know what's going to be something that one group loves and half the other group, like you said, you're in your own bubble. You don't really, and if you're not really venturing outside of it, who knows?
Yeah.
Right?
And Chris brings up a good point that Leah's moving on to something at Ignition Press, which is great information. By the way, I appreciate that. I'm looking forward to checking out whatever that is. Because like I said, the stuff I've read of hers, I've really enjoyed. But at the same time, it's if it was successful enough, wouldn't they just continue with another writer?
Right.
We're used to that in comics. There are many reasons to like Leah Williams, not just two. Yeah, there. Yeah, yeah, she's fun to follow. I like her sense of humor quite a bit. So there's a lot going on there. She's also an attractive woman. Definitely. I think that's what figure drawing is alluding at.
You've got Norin and Collector P and Kamikaze.
Oh, did I miss them? I waved at Collector P. Did I miss Norin? I'm sorry, Norin.
He was surfing in right up above Collector P.
Oh, there he is. There he is, surfing in. I love it. I love it. Yeah, I think I just kind of scanned over the emoji. My bad. What's up, Kamikaze? How you doing? Let's see. Next one here. Thought this was interesting. There's kind of a lot of
there was a lot of news.
There's a lot of it kind of is about either new projects or cancellations or pausing of old projects, though. There's a lot of that kind of stuff going on, which makes sense. Comics Pro, there was a lot of kind of news coming out from MCU and DC Studios kind of stuff too. So this is kind of fascinating. I know there was a lot of buzz about Strange Academy, and I wouldn't say there was a lot of buzz, but there was some talk about Terror Inc. But apparently both of those series are not moving forward. This article, which by the way I should point out is from gamesradar.com. It is interesting to point out that this article mentions that neither of those projects were officially greenlit. Yeah, it says right here, never officially greenlit, and so they could be revived in the future.
Never approved, never started, right?
Yeah, but I mean, I do think. Oh, by the way, Nova is another series that gets brought into this too. I should have mentioned that. And that's according to Deadline, which is kind of the original source here. But I do remember some pretty reputable sources posting about this. So I can't remember if we covered it or not, but I don't think it was sheer rumor. I bet you there really was some talk around it.
So I know they had talked about shifting the Nova from a motion picture
to a series,
to a show. Yeah. So
I think this is really unfortunate. I know a lot of people were looking forward to Strange Academy because they like the comic book quite a bit. It is a fun concept, kind of X-Men-esque without the mutants.
I think actually all of that stuff has merit. It could be interesting for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Nova, definitely. Terror Inc. is probably the one that I would be least familiar with. I'm not really familiar with the character, but I mean, hey, maybe that would be fun because I'd get to know the character better.
Yeah, well, I think it would be cool for them to just kind of delve more into that Marvel horror aspect that they've been doing with Werewolf by Night and Man-Thing and all that stuff. I want to see more of that, so that would be cool.
Absolutely.
I mean, it sounds like they've given the go-ahead for more of those ground-level characters with the Daredevil universe from the Netflix stuff. I was watching or reading some stuff about that. So
yeah, and we'll talk about that a little bit.
To get some concrete stuff about that. But yeah, I like to see more of those, not just the big, huge, superheroes, but all the other levels that we have in the Marvel universe.
Absolutely. I mean, that's one of the things that makes Marvel great is it has kind of its own segments, if you will.
It's an ecosystem.
yeah, exactly. From street level to cosmic. Wanted to make sure we said hello to Awesome Sauce Radio for joining us. Thanks, Awesome Sauce. Always good to see Adam. Dan Alvin says Terror Inc. for a show. That was a really short-lived 90s title. Yeah. I mean, I'm aware of it, but I definitely am not familiar with it. I'll completely
admit. He crossed over with Wolverine and a bunch of other stuff.
Okay. I remember there was like a trading card. That's like as much as I remember about him.
I mean, it's weird. He had these little whiskery things going on.
Yeah. I didn't know if that was like the art on the card at the time, and I was like, well, what's going on here?
Like weird little tendril things that came off of his face.
He's a catfish. Ramos on Strange Academy was very nice, clean. His style has neatly improved over time. That's a really good point.
I like Ramos a lot.
Yeah. I think the first time I
saw stuff on Spider-Man, it was just groundbreaking. It's kind of that whole time, like almost seeing McFarlane for the first time. It's just so different,
Yep, absolutely. Or Bocciolo a little bit in there too.
Right.
I remember seeing his stuff for the first time. I think it was on DV8, the Gen 13 spinoff thing that happened for a while. And I kind of love following him ever since then. Yeah, there you go. But I mean, kind of hard to lose too much sleep over a series that wasn't even technically greenlit to begin with. But
it just would have been nice to see, but we'll see.
Yeah, and I mean, hey, it still could happen, right?
DV8, the big feet face. There we go. And Crimson, Crimson was pretty cool too. Crimson was part of that whole thing with Danger Girl and was it Battle
like
Chaser,
Cliffhanger?
Danger Girls, Crimson.
Was that part of Cliffhanger?
Yeah, it was all Cliffhanger. Yeah. I think Crimson might have been the longest running title out of all that stuff.
What was Coven part of that too?
Might have been.
It was like the vampire book. Yeah.
No, the big three that I remember from Cliffhanger originally were Danger Girl, Battle Chasers, and Crimson.
Yeah.
But yeah, somebody the other day just sent me pictures of, they had a bunch of variants of DV8. They're like, do you want these? There's like Jim Lee and stuff in here. I'm like, yeah, that's cool.
Some of those books, what's the other Divine? Was it Divine Right? That Jim
Divine
Lee
Right? Yeah.
That stuff, it gets like completely glossed over, I feel like, when it comes to collectors.
Ascension with David Finch is amazing.
Yeah.
That's the first Finch stuff. That's amazing.
And then early Finch, I always think of Aphrodite 9 as well.
Yeah.
Was Crimson a vampire book too? Because I know Coven
Crimson was a vampire book.
Okay.
Yep.
Maybe that's why I'm like kind of conflating those two in my mind. So this is, I don't know what's going on with this thing at the top here. I guess that's probably an ad block thing or something. This is on marvel.com, by the way, for the source on this one. I'm going to can I yell at clouds for a second? Can I do that?
Sure. Step out on your porch, yell at some clouds.
Prepare for soapboxing and angry, white nerd guy on the internet complaining about comic books with a beard. So Whatnot's doing another one of their comic trading packs. They did one of like I can't remember if there was another follow-up they did, but they definitely did an X-Men 97 one. I think that was the only one, but there might have been another follow-up to that. But this is for the first one in a while, and these are obviously Red Hulk themed, tying in with Captain America Brave New World. Each pack contains 3 random variants from a selection of iconic Captain America and Hulk issues, including Hulk 1, which I think they're referring to the Red Hulk run there. Hulk 22, Captain America 25, Captain America Sam Wilson 6, Captain America Sam Wilson number 3, I assume, etc. Reimagined with brand new exclusive variants. Limited print runs include a released trade dress, virgin, silver, ultra rare, prism, and gold foil variants, autographed editions. Some packs will include gold foil variants, 5 ultra rare one-of-one sketch covers by Mark Bagley. That's pretty badass. Open packs to collect, each cover in 5 variants, including those kind of rolled out there. With only 2,000 boxes produced, these packs won't last long.
I think the boxes have like 4 packs.
Okay, that it's really weird for me for them to say that and not say how many are in a box at the same time.
Our friend Travis Comics Limited does Whatnot, and he got in on the last round, and I think he either got 4 or 6 packs. He got a box, but it's an interesting program.
Shout out to Awesome Sauce. I do recollect that now. He said that they did a Ultimate Spider-Man one at New York Comic Con as well, that's a very good point.
So this is set number 4 then, right?
So this would be 3, because there was X-Men 97, Ultimate Spider-Man, and now this one?
No, there was the one that had Doom and everything else in it too.
Oh, okay. So number 4 then. Okay, cool.
Yeah, this is number 4.
Oh, I should point out, by the way, this is an important detail. These are going to be available February 28th through March 1st. And so here's where I'm going to start yelling at clouds, because that's what I wanted to get to.
Yell away.
So somebody pointed this out on Facebook, and hey, they wanted them, right? That's totally cool. I can understand a lot of people wanting these. And they said, who has one? Hook me up. That was kind of what they were saying. I said, very sarcastically, I replied, don't worry, your favorite streamers that you're used to will have these available. They'll start them at $1 and they'll go for hundreds of dollars, which means that when they start to trickle down to all the other streamers who bought packs of these, they'll go for $150 a pop at least. And don't worry, most of them will be damaged because that's what happened with the other ones. And they're really hard to open without damaging the comic books. They didn't ship them or pack them very well, apparently. But my thing with this is, this is such manufactured scarcity, and it really, look, I get it. It's good business for Whatnot. It's good business for Marvel in some ways, because they'll see some sales out of it, and that's probably all they really care about. And I totally understand that. But every single one of these, I've seen the effects from people that, it's like anything. They come out with a super rare version of something, like a chase figure, a chase version of something. It's not just going out and buying a Hulk #1, because you want that first cover appearance of Red Hulk or something like that. And
Right.
And that's one thing. This is, I guarantee you that the cover, the prism and the gold foil or whatever are going to be worth more out of the gate, and we're talking about a reprint years later, than the actual first appearance of the Red Hulk.
Right.
And that
would be interesting to look at what the value is of the stuff that's come out so far.
Yeah.
If it's retaining, what level of value it's retaining.
Well, that's actually where this is all going to lead. I am definitely going to be doing some work around that, because I don't know how many people remember, but I used to do top 5 not to buy.
Right.
And I'm really working hard to bring in that series back. I is definitely on my agenda of things I'm going to get started on. I want to get started on it where I can do it weekly. And until I'm ready to actually do that, I want to make sure that I don't just put one out and then wait 3 weeks to put another one out. I want to make sure it comes out every week. But what I did for a long time with that is I did a follow-up series. Not only was I saying these are the comic books on the hot list right now, and here's why I wouldn't buy them, because I think they're bad investments right now. Wait 6 months and pick it up, that kind of thing. But I also did a 3 month later, 6 month later, and eventually a 1 year later follow-up on those titles. And I tracked the prices on them on multiple different sites to show you how they were doing. And I remember when the Whatnot exclusives, these were the big first Whatnot exclusives, came out for Invincible, the Tyler Kirkham battle damaged covers, some of which I absolutely love. The Adam Eve Tyler Kirkham cover is one of my favorites.
Mm-hmm.
I love that. It's one. I've got a 9/8 that I bought for 10 times less than they were going for when they first came out, like a year later.
Right.
And that's where I'm going with that is Invincible #1 for a while, which is a nice book. I mean, I don't know where it's at in the market today. I haven't looked in a long time, but I know it was roughly like $1,000 to $1,200 in super high grade around that time, I think. The gold foil Tyler Kirkham Whatnot exclusives were going for more than that.
Right.
And that to me is insane, because there was no print run release that I'm aware of.
Right.
There probably was more of those around than there were in the different versions, at least, than there was of the original book at that point.
Why are we paying more for reprints? I totally get it.
Yeah, but it's not to not. If you like this, I'm not knocking you for liking it. I can understand wanting like a foil, prism foil Hulk one. That sounds cool,
right?
And I understand that it should be, maybe something that you shouldn't just pay $10 for and be able to get. Maybe there should be some manufactured scarcity there. But these are the worst ways to do it, because what they do is the Whatnot streamers that get these, they'll always brag about how they're starting them for $1. It doesn't matter. That's not the point. They don't go for $1. Anytime a big streamer has a pack like this and they put them up for $1, I've been in hundreds of rooms where that happens just to kind of see what happens. They never go for anywhere near that. Don't brag about starting it. You could start it at $100 and it would be the same thing. So
some
it's
people
just
give them away for free. I mean, that's cool.
Well, and that's the other part. And I know for a fact this is true. A lot of people that give them away for free are doing that for a couple different reasons. One is because they're paying a good price compared to what they sell for, and they know it'll bring people into their room, and that's fine. That's totally fine. Mm-hmm. The other reason, though, is that a lot of people get them for free, and they get them for free with the idea that Whatnot's like, hey, give some of these away because it'll bring people onto the platform. A lot of people are on your stream. They want to get one for free. They don't get one for free, and guess what? They buy one. They get FOMO and they want to spend more on it.
Right,
So,
right. Yeah, that would be my question: is it healthy for the industry? Are you hurting the industry more than you're helping it? How many of those people are going to become disillusioned after having paid all that money and then not having something of value?
yeah, it's a tough one because I do want to stress that I understand that, hey, Marvel and whatnot making money, they're in it to make money. That I don't want to take away from that, but I do feel like consumers get lost a little bit in this, and they do, those companies do breed the FOMO along with the streamers that they choose to do this. And I'll be honest, that's part of the problem is they choose selective streamers to do this.
Right. Well,
Some of
this
those
newest
streamers,
one, Travis was telling me this newest one, the last one, they contacted you directly through Whatnot and said, set things up with you. This newest one, they sent you an email that wasn't even like headered, like titled where it was catch your attention or anything. And you had like 2 days to respond. And so he totally missed out on this newest one and he was upset. But
yeah, and because if you're a streamer and whatnot and you don't get these, you're missing out on money.
I mean, from what I understand from what he was telling me, like they're not that expensive for this people.
No.
Like, and they front them to you. I think they're like less than $20 each.
Yeah.
Pack.
That's
they front them to you, and then after the show, they take the cost of the pack out of your sales.
Yeah.
So,
so Awesome Sauce, I believe you cannot get the boxes anymore based on what somebody we know that is a Whatnot seller was saying. At least not if you're a mere mortal.
Right. If you're a small seller, you're not gonna get them.
Because I was talking to somebody who bought a bunch of these, and they were talking about, oh, there's so and so big streamer, and I was in line right behind them, and I know they bought a bunch of them, and so they're not getting them for free. Well, I also know for a fact from private conversations I've had that people get them for free.
Yeah, there's promotional stuff given away for sure.
Well, but that's the thing is it's not just that makes it sound like, how do I want to phrase this? It would be different if there was a visible metric to Whatnot sellers that they needed to hit or reach to be invited to do things like that. There's not. Yeah. It's much more of a handshake / good old boy kind of system. And that's not fair to most sellers on Whatnot, is my opinion on that.
Well, yeah, I mean, and they're not, it's not like it was weird. Trav was only allowed to get like 2 boxes, I think. And there are other people who had 100 boxes.
Yeah.
And that was all they would allow him to get. So,
well, you got to remember, folks, that the large part of my philosophy is I will call out things that I think are sketchy, and I don't think this is necessarily sketchy. I've been talking about other things that I think are kind of asymmetrical in terms of fairness. Let's put it that way. But I want to do so in a way that people will listen to it and hopefully make things better. Just yelling about it, just raging about it is usually clickbait. I could have put this on the thumbnail and we could have talked about it in a much different way. And I guarantee you 5 times as many people would come in here expecting to see like nothing but raging and all that kind of stuff. And I would think personally it would be a worse show for it. That's just my opinion.
Like we try to have a positive spin and have a solution rather than just rage.
Yeah. Adam says he's thinking about playing the handicap card to see if that would help him. Hey man, more power to you. Because I don't, in this case, like, hey, if you can work the system, go for it, brother.
Every edge you can get, baby.
Yes, exactly. A practical fist that is cloud shaking.
But yeah, no. My main question would be just, what is it healthy for the industry long term?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I mean, it definitely is short term. I see the buzz it generates, but I also see long term collectors that get burned by these things get more want to walk away from comic collecting more and more.
I had somebody I was doing some dealings with this weekend, and they were getting books from me that were more recent books that are hot, and they're like, "Are you sure you want to get rid of these?" And I was like, I'll buy them in a couple years and they'll be like $5 instead of being $40. You know, it's like, I don't care.
Yeah. And that was the whole like motivation behind that series that I made. There's very rarely an instance that you'll find a comic on the hot list of any kind. Pick your flavor. People, when I say hot list, people automatically fill in a blank of which one they're thinking of, whether it's CBSI or Ben Stein's top 10 or Key Collector or Cover Price or whatever. Doesn't matter. Right. Any of them. I tracked a lot of those prices, like literally for years during the comic boom and afterwards, with a long enough legs on it that it was separated out from the comic boom. And it absolutely, I would say 95 times out of 100, it didn't pay to buy those books when they're on that list. That's the time to sell those books.
Right.
So,
but that's the whole nature of the beast, right? It's the whole FOMO thing. And
yeah. Sorry, I'm laughing at Jay's comment that it was it must have been a Dr. Squatch box because I'm not a vein popper. Yeah, I didn't turn into the Red Hulk during this one. It'd be fun though. That would be fun. I know people love that.
Just the Gray Hulk.
Yeah. Exactly. Dan says he's about done ordering 25 copies for a 1 in 25 for the LCS. New Doom for #1 is being brought out and sold for under $10. Makes no sense. Oh yeah, there's actually there was a couple ratios I really wanted because I loved the covers, and not that long ago, and I was just, man, I love the covers on these books. There was like a Adam Hughes Rogue one. I can't remember what the issue was. A couple ones I really liked, and I scooped them up on eBay for less than half of ratio. Half of ratio is like, if it's a 1 in 25. People say that the ratio, as long as it's not super hot and as long as it's not super lame, should go for about $25 on the aftermarket. That's kind of
about $1 per book.
Yeah. And I was scooping those books up there. I think they were both 1 in 25s. I was scooping them up for $10, all day long. And that's with shipping. So
right. I will say, like, I had somebody the other day I was doing some trading with, and we were going through older, like early 2000s ratio variants and stuff. And like, I had the Civil War Michael Turner variants, and those have held their value quite well, actually. So
nice. That's cool. I do need to talk about one thing real fast before we move on to our next news segment. And hopefully I want to play a little game, folks. We'll do a little Saw-like experience here. Let's see if I can get all 3 shows I'm going to talk about coming up tomorrow on the EXP correct and their times correct. I have more faith this week, but if I was a betting person, you might want to put some money down against me. And then, hey, who knows?
Play a game.
Who knows? Maybe you'll get enough money to pick up one of those Whatnot Marvel packs someday if you do the betting correctly here. Tomorrow on the EXP, which we're also streaming on the EXP. That link is in the description of this video down there if you want to go check it out, as well as the link to Bigby's channel if you want to go check that out. And I'm Bronze Age Nerd if you want to find me on YouTube or anywhere else. You can watch Minute to Skim It. Minute to Skim It is a show that talks about comic books coming out for New Comic Book Day. Does kind of a capsule review, is what I like to call it, kind of a short review. They take a real quick look at the book and they give you the real quick impression of the art, the story, where it's going, whether or not it's worth reading, that kind of thing. Great show. Love watching that show. Check it out tomorrow at 7 Eastern, 6 Central, and that would be 4 p.m. Pacific, I believe, if I'm doing my math correctly. But yeah, great show. I definitely recommend checking that one out tomorrow. And Jay says he'll actually be on tomorrow, which is even better. You can go see our producer who's backstage in this show right now, with the switches and the dials and all that kind of fun stuff. He's going to be on that show. He has really cool takes. I definitely recommend checking that out tomorrow on the EXP. Christina, what's up, Christina? Welcome to the show. Hello. Did I miss anybody else that popped in?
Yeah, Tropes was saying you had to do that all in the Jigsaw voice, though.
Ooh, well, I mean, Bigby had the Jigsaw voice. He's the one that should be doing it. That was pretty good. He's got like enough of the it's almost like, I know that guy has a really cool voice, the actor, but it's almost like a digitized version of that voice. It's hard to do.
Right. Yeah.
You did it great, by the way.
Thanks.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing, man. It's fun.
I'll have to have a little tricycle come in with put the little swirls on my cheeks, white makeup.
So Fortnite did a Jigsaw like mini event thing in the game, and like you'd go to this one creepy farm and there would be like the little, I forgot the guy's name, the little guy on the he has a different name than Jigsaw, the little dude on the little puppet on the bike, you know,
Right,
and it would just be like crawling around on the map. It was pretty creepy.
Billy. Jason is Billy. Is it Billy?
Okay. All right. Thank you. You know what? I have a confession to make. I've only ever watched the first 2 Saw films. I know there's like 7 of them or something now, or
it's
something.
Pretty convoluted.
Yeah, I bet. I like the first one a lot.
I love the parody one where he cuts off the wrong foot.
Oh, is that like a scary movie or something?
One of the scary movies, I think, right? Yeah.
There's 11 of them.
Oh my
Holy
goodness!
Crap! What are they? Fast and the Furious? Jeez.
Milking that one.
You know, I'm going to move on to this article because it'll tease our main segment we have coming up later in the show, which is to talk about some of the reaction to Captain America: Brave New World. Which, by the way, for those of you that have been popping in, you have kind of watched the viewer count change a little bit. I know things have kind of changed. We did mention the main topic of the show that we're going to get to after news is we're going to talk about our roster that we would want for the Avengers. I think it should be a pretty fun segment. I definitely recommend sticking around for it. We want to hear who you want on Sam Wilson's Avengers in the MCU. We're going to do a few things like this based around this concept of talking about like ideal teams, or maybe even a draft. We talked about doing that too. We're gonna play around with this because we think it's a fun concept for a show. Hopefully you do too. But just wanted to let everybody, in theory, yeah. Just wanted to let everybody know that we're not talking about spoilers for the movie, at least not serious spoilers. Possibly at the very, very end of the show, and we'd give you really good warning if that's the case, and let you know to leave the show for you don't want to watch those. But you know, we will talk about things that I think things that are understandable that are going to happen from the trailer, right? Like, look, Red Hulk is in the movie. Oh my gosh, you know, like it's so surprising. So just kind of fair warning.
Sam Wilson in it too? Does he have the shield?
I don't know. I didn't see him in the movie, but we did both watch the movie, so we're both gonna kind of talk about kind of our reactions and all that kind of a little bit probably in this segment, I imagine. But I just wanted to give everybody a warning just in case they really don't want to hear anything about it because they haven't seen it yet, that kind of thing. But this is, by the way, from comicbookmovie.com, and it's Captain America: Brave New World's director on the negative reviews. So this movie is receiving some negative critical reviews. The last time I saw, it has a 49% on Rotten Tomatoes right now. Now, it's also worth pointing out that its opening weekend did cross the 200 million worldwide mark, which was better than expected. So it's kind of a mixed bag, right? Like people are watching it, and I'm seeing from people that know comic books or are MCU fans, the thing that I've seen over and over and over again was basically some version of it's better than I expected.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. And I agree. Yeah, I agree with that as well. I again, we're not going to get into, spoiling it for anybody, but we might talk about tone and we might talk about, our impressions that it left us with, that kind of thing a little bit. But and I apologize. I'm not 100% sure if this is how you pronounce the director's name, but director Julius Ona was asked about the movie's critical response during an interview with Esquire and replied, "All I'll say is that we were working very hard and are very passionate about the movie we made. We told the story in a way that I feel very excited about and very satisfied with. Every single one of these movies receives criticism, and maybe because it was so out there in terms of some of the conversation, people perceiving certain things, certainly, but I don't think that is the truth of the reality of it. The really important thing for me is the experience the audience gets to have enjoying the story." And I think that's well said.
Just read those poll results there at the bottom. 3,391 of you voted in our recent BNW poll, and 41% of you felt that the movie was good. Somewhat surprisingly, 20% of you went with very good,
while 19% of you voted disappointing. 12% of you thought Brave New World was outright awful, and 8% went with excellent. So that basically means that, you know, disappointing and awful added up to like what, 30%? No, 25%.
Minority. So I mean,
yeah. So thinking it was, you know, good, very good, or even excellent, is the majority of viewers, and I think that's worth pointing out.
Yeah, I mean, I think it faced a lot of hurdles based on like the pushbacks and the timing and stuff. So I mean, its time placement is like what, right after Eternals, right? So we're
and I because it's in the there's a shot of it in the trailers. I'm 99% sure I saw a shot of this in the trailers. I think I can say this. If I can't say this, trust me, it's an extremely minor thing. Extremely. It's funny because one of the criticisms I hear about the MCU from a lot of people that like to bash on where the MCU's at or recent releases, and I don't mean be critical, I mean like professionally bash on it.
Bash it,
yeah. One of the things I see over and over again is nobody talks about the Eternal. Nobody talks about, or this, I mean, the Celestial, because that happens at the end of Eternals, right? Nobody talks about that. What's going on with that? I see that over and over again. In this movie, again, I won't spoil it, but it definitely addresses that.
It was in the trailer for sure too. So
okay, yeah. I was pretty sure there was a shot of the Celestial in the trailer and maybe a little talk of it there. And so there's a lot of things in this movie, actually, I think that people who love to complain about MCU stuff would actually should have had the opposite reaction to. And I will go so far as to say that I think maybe the polls that are taken, the audience reactions that are taken are kind of maybe showing that, is that, you know, maybe it wasn't people's favorite MCU movie. For some people it obviously was, but, you know, not for most people probably. But it certainly wasn't the worst one or one of the worst ones.
Right. No, it was a good popcorn flick for sure.
Yeah, I totally.
enjoyed it. I mean, and I think it's the vocal minority, like you're saying.
Yeah.
I heard somebody say, they were like, just hear me out. He goes, you guys are crazy about watching, he goes, a white guy dressed up as a bat using tech to fight someone like Bane or Solomon Grundy. You're all for it. But you got a black educated veteran fighting the Incredible Hulk, and oh my God, this could never work. Using tech to fight the Hulk.
Yeah. and you know, like to not get into too much detail, but it was all displayed in a way that worked for me.
Yeah, no, I thought it all made sense the way they played it out. Yeah.
Yeah. And I will, how can I say that without being spoilery? I will say the film's restraint was honestly refreshing too, because there's some ways it could have gone over the top that I could have seen happening at certain points in the film, and it kind of, in a good way, pulled some of its punches that actually made me respect it a little bit more, instead of, you know, kind of some Deus Ex Machina stepping in to kind of you know, save the day or whatever. It stayed true to its core of what the story it was trying to tell. I did see do you know who Hideo Kojima is?
Is he the guy who played the Japanese diplomat?
No, he's a video game designer. He's the guy who created Metal Gear Solid.
Okay.
And he's kind of notoriously a fan of Western cinema and kind of Western genre culture. And so there's a lot of references to that in his work. And he commented after seeing the film, kind of some interesting and telling comments, like being unfamiliar with what was going on with Sam Wilson being Captain America. And he admits, he's like, he even says, like, is that something that happened that I had to watch Falcon and the Winter Soldier for, because I didn't watch the Disney series, you know?
Right.
And it is kind of a good point, is there is some things in this that I think people, the MCU took a good amount of time off for a while, which I think a lot of people thought was a good move. But then this film almost kind of jumps back in without any kind of assistance to those viewers that may not be familiar with the story beats that they're trying to tell in some ways.
Right.
And
Yeah,
it is interesting.
I don't think it'd be totally lost, but it's
No.
like, yeah, it's because there's a lot of some of the reviews I was watching. They're like, well, there's a lot of little expository stuff that is said to try to fill in the gaps for people. And if you've already seen everything, they're like, it's kind of a little over the top, of exposition dumps. But, you've got to do that so people who aren't in the loop understand what's going on.
Yeah. Well, and I do want to kind of mention, we got our chat here is doing its work, and I want to make sure we include them in the conversation. When you guys talk about Captain America: Brave New World, I have seen the movie. I haven't seen the movie yet to enjoy the conversation. Still need to go see it. Totally fine. Like, we're
not going to spoil anything for you,
though. Yeah. I mean, there's different levels of people that think anything's a spoiler, that they may not love this conversation, but I think we're going to be vague enough that it's not going to. We're certainly not going to ruin anything in the movie that would have been a surprise initially, because I would be absolutely mortified if I did that. Dan says he watched it last night because everyone's talking about it, so he couldn't scroll YouTube. Hey, so you can safely be part of the conversation as well. Right. Comic Trope says, I think Avengers Endgame skewed folks' memories of the MCU. Most of the movies are enjoyable, but not exceptional. Every several movies, they make a really good one. Right. Yeah,
I'm hoping we're ramping up towards that with Secret Wars and everything.
Well, and I think a lot of that's the Russo brothers,
right? And I think one of the complaints that I saw was that they missed out. They should have made this another Avengers movie. There was room for other characters in this movie. So,
well, and you could make the argument with Civil War in this movie that they're really not just Captain America movies in some ways.
That's what they're saying. Captain America Civil War was an Avengers movie.
Yeah.
And I think this could have been like Captain America Civil War.
And I think that's a fair criticism, that sometimes it's, I saw, that's the other thing too. I saw a lot of people saying, in a lot of ways, this should have been Incredible Hulk 2 would have been just as good of a title for this movie. And there's some reasons why, and I won't get into all those reasons, but obviously Red Hulk's in the movie. So I think you can kind of, assume some of those things.
I'd say it'd be enjoyable to see in the theater if you want to get the theater experience.
It had some really, really good sound design too. I'll say that. I'm excited to watch it in my home theater when I get a chance to get a copy at home, like a 4K Blu-ray or something.
Hey, Swaggerhouse.
Hey, what's up, Swag? But yeah, I think that the criticisms about that, it's MCU can't make a standalone Hulk film due to some licensing issues. So they have to kind of work the Hulk story through these other films. And that's kind of been a running thing with the Hulk stuff, independent of that problem. You lump in the Avengers stuff with that as well. And I can definitely see where some people have those kinds of feelings. But I think at this point, we kind of realize that most MCU films you probably either need to kind of sign on to pretty much watch all of them, or you probably should only watch the End Games and the Secret Wars and those kinds of films, right? Like the big ones, Deadpool, Wolverine was pretty big for a theater experience for a lot of people too, for a lot of different reasons.
I think this one was enjoyable though, for people who just had no clue what was going on. It's still an enjoyable movie.
Yes. Yeah. So, I think that there's plenty going on there that you can kind of come in and love. Yeah, the 1990 Captain America movie definitely is something. I watched that a couple years ago for the first time since I was a kid, and it's something. Watching it more critically as an adult.
Everybody remember the Captain America TV show?
Oh yeah. Yep. You waited to watch Falcon and the Winter Soldier until just before this movie because of this and Thunderbolts. By the way, I am like somehow even more excited for Thunderbolts now.
Thunderbolts looks really, really good to me. I mean, yeah, I don't know why I'm really excited for it. I think I get off on that tension between all the characters. It's like they're all want to kind of almost kill each other.
Yeah. Yep. And by the way, Norin Rad, that is a very fair point to bring up. Is that Kojima's a little out there. I mean, like that's for sure in his DNA.
Yeah.
Yeah. Russo brothers are huge, and I think that's a huge element that comes into play with what made Infinity War Endgame. Let's see, they also did Civil War and Winter Soldier too, I believe. So some of the better movies in the kind of pantheon. Coming back to Swags, hello there.
Hey, we got Daredevil coming up in like a week, right?
And I didn't pull a news story about this because there's really not much of a news story to pull, but this is kind of interesting. Andor season 2, which is anticipated as well, had a trailer drop today, and I saw that the last episode of Daredevil Born Again will premiere the same day as the first episode of Andor season 2. So Disney Plus is about to have a nice little run here of people.
Boom. We'll be watching some Disney for a while.
Yeah, exactly. I know I will be. I'm excited for both of those. And shout out to Derek for saying hello to everybody in here and being awesome. Appreciate that.
Oh, speaking of Disney, I just finished up the Spider-Man show. I thought it was really,
still
really
need
good.
to start that. I want to start that so bad.
Good. Actually, it kind of had a slow roll to begin with, but man, it got good.
Nice. That's really cool to hear.
I mean, just going in, just expect it's going to be like an Elseworlds, you know?
Yeah. Oh, did I not pull an? Oh, yeah, I did pull an article for this. So I really quickly want to get to our other news stories because I really want to get to our main topic. So I'm going to do one more quick story and then
3-hour show tonight.
If weather allows, right? I think this is interesting, and I know some people watch and will find this interesting as well. So also from gamesradar.com. If you told me that Avatar 3 was going to have an AI disclaimer at the beginning, I would have, that was all you told me, I would have been really scared. But luckily, the headline to the story here is that James Cameron, and this is according to a report, so I guess it's not technically official yet, will open Avatar 3 with a title card saying no generative AI was used to make this movie. By the way, I've been rewatching. I got a new TV a little while back, and I've been rewatching some of the Avatar stuff because it looks gorgeous in 4K HDR. Like, looks just amazing. And you know, for these movies, for all their flaws or whatever, I cannot wait to see the next one. But yeah, so it's kind of interesting. I will say
I think that's really cool. So they went with all animators and everything else. No generative AI. That's awesome.
Yeah, the one thing that's kind of interesting about this is, and again, we're talking about generative AI, which is important to point out. AI was pretty clearly used, and we talked about this, I think, last week or the week before, kind of in the same vein here. AI was used in the Aliens, True Lies, and Abyss 4K transfers to clean up and sharpen. It's usually called DNR, which is digital noise reduction. But some people, I kind of fall into this, have accused those films of maybe kind of over correcting and smoothing out things. And the problem with that is that, you know, you're used to seeing film grain on films that have
kind of adds a little depth. It's kind of like texture.
It adds a little depth. And even if you want to remove all film grain, that's it. You know, there's going to be some people that are going to be really mad about you doing that, but that's one thing. But it also kind of softens people's faces, or has a tendency to do that if it's overused. Right. And that's sort of the problem, is you kind of end up with, you know, kind of that, it almost looks like some characters were like digitally de-aged, and they obviously didn't need to be, and that was never supposed to be part of the movie. We talked about this a little bit with David Fincher, who's kind of had the same thing happen to a couple of his movies recently, like Panic Room. But James Cameron also kind of has this happen too. And I think James Cameron denied that AI was used, but man, people that know what they're talking about more than I do are pretty adamant that it looks like it was used. So yeah, this is a really good point too. So, and this is something I've talked about a lot, and this is my favorite example for people that are just automatically like, AI sucks, it's terrible, it's awful, it should never be used in art in any way, shape, or form. I've always kind of reminded people, because in video games and movies, AI has been used for a long time for various different reasons. And when I say video games, people assume, oh, you mean like the AI that controls the characters in video games that aren't, they're NPCs, that kind of stuff. Sure, I'm talking about that, but I'm actually talking about what happens in a lot of video games and movies, which is that large groups of soldiers or crowds or whatever are often generated using AI as well. Also, things like strands of hair on heads on characters' heads in say Pixar movies, that kind of stuff. My favorite example of this is, and it's funny because I was actually watching it with my family earlier, is Two Towers, where they had these huge shots of armies in the Two Towers that were generated using generative AI, essentially. I mean, it's in a little bit different form than we use that today, because they instead of individually animating and creating each character, or just copy pasting the same character over and over again, which makes it look very wooden. Right. That's what they use to generate the large crowds of the armies for these giant, Saruman's army and all that kind of stuff. Right. Very different than using generative AI learning models to generate AI from a bunch of existing images on the open web. So it's worth pointing that out, that there are some nuances to that conversation.
Chris.
That's funny. Absolutely.
Soft white blob pulsing rhythmically.
But yeah, good point from Swaggle there.
Yeah.
I have said, I just have to point that because I've said that a lot. It's there needs to be some nuance in the conversation about AI in art forms.
I was doing some stuff with Photoshop the other day, cleaning up some artwork, and I was using the clone stamp tool and a bunch of other stuff, and I was I'm using AI when I'm doing this, basically.
Yeah.
Not to the the nth degree, but there's little we all use AI every day, whether we know it or not, with our phones and everything else. So
you know what? I'm familiar with the name, but I've never watched any of the content. So I don't know if I'm a fan or not. He specified no generative AI, because I guarantee you there's use of AI in different VFX technologies that get used.
Just like I was saying with Photoshop and everything else. I mean, everything you're going to use has some aspect of AI in it. So
yeah. Call of Duty uses AI for its cosmetic effects. That is definitely apparent. I've been playing some Call of Duty on Game Pass, and I definitely can see that.
Yes,
you mean AI is taking over my flip phone? No, con. Kind of one of those kind of reactions, right? Yeah, it's just one of those things where I hope people do understand. We have a tendency to boil things down to their simplest digestible soundbite, and it gets used in headlines, and they see people talk about AI, and I think when you say AI, especially in the comic book community, a lot of people jump to a very specific use case for AI, and that's not what all AI is. I think that's just important.
It's so interesting how things can get twisted with spin doctoring. I mean, I was watching a murder mystery thing, and the guy confessed to his friend over World of Warcraft what he had done, and so the headline read, "World of Warcraft plays role in teen murder." It's yeah, because he confessed over World of Warcraft chat.
I love it. Yeah, like these things that just get pulled in because it'll generate clicks. I mean, that's the thing.
Right. Yeah.
I'm going to move. We have one more big news story I'm going to update us on, and then we're going to move right into our main topic for the night. So that's coming up real soon, including sharing some of the poll results that I put out there on YouTube yesterday. Yeah. So I'm really excited to talk about this. I think it's going to be a fun topic. Before we get to it, there's a couple things I want to talk about happening over on the EXP tomorrow. The first is that Welcome to Wonderland, which I tuned into last week. I finally made right on my promises to go watch that show. Tuned into it. By the way, I picked up a first appearance of the new Teen Titans and a first appearance of Nightwing on that show. So obviously I'm a fan now, as well as some other cool variants that came out. So I highly recommend tuning into that show as well over on the EXP. It's like a comic book claim sale Usually features a lot of new releases, but they also kind of have like their wall books at the comic book shop behind them, and they'll talk about those books and offer them up for people watching. So I highly recommend checking that out. If you want to watch that show tomorrow on EXP, remember that link is in the description below, and that'll be at 8 Eastern, 7 Central. That'd be 5 p.m. Pacific. The other thing I want to mention is there's another thing happening tomorrow on the EXP. It's going to be kind of cool. There's going to be a Comics Industry Insider Live at Comics Pro, which would be really fun to go check out. That's going to happen at 3 Eastern, 2 Central. That would be 12 p.m. Pacific. So definitely go check that out. Yeah, I highly recommend everybody go watch that, because I know there's a lot of news coming out of Comics Pro. There we go. We got a little graphic for it right there that Jay was nice enough to pop up before I can go hunt for it. Appreciate that. So that should be a fun show. I know there's a lot of news coming out of Comics Pro, and I definitely think we're going to want to check out.
Swag was just at Comics Pro too, right?
I believe so. Yeah, I think I saw a picture of him there.
We have to check. We have to watch, because sometimes it's in Portland. So
yeah, that's true. It does move. I always forget that Comics Pro moves around, because last year it was in was it Cleveland or something? I can't remember where it was at. I was like, well, there's no way I'm going to that. But
yeah, Portland or Seattle, we could definitely make one of those.
So Ninja Turtles are currently in Call of Duty. I've been popping headshots on those mofos the entire last weekend. Yep, they're in there.
Getting them bandanas flying.
I don't know if this makes me a terrible parent, but occasionally I play a couple matches, and my daughter's kind of usually just playing. She usually doesn't care that much, but she looked up and she's like, "The Ninja Turtles?" Because and I was just like, yeah. I just kind of moved away from him. I was like, well, I guess I won't take care of those hostiles. But yeah, it is kind of fun. They're very the Ninja Turtles are in Fortnite, and so it's kind of, you get that more of animated look to them. They're not like jumping off the original animated series, but you have kind of more of an animated look. The Ninja Turtles in Call of Duty kind of have more of like the costume suited look that they had from the 90s. Not exactly, but it's more of like that, and it's just kind of almost like an uncanny valley kind of a thing. That's kind of weird.
Gotcha. Tropes wants to know if they have guns. They have guns?
Oh yeah, they got guns, man. They got all kinds of guns. They're calling in kill packages and pounding Mountain Dew, man. Double XP, baby.
So you start getting GI Joe characters in there, then you'd be really going crazy.
That would be sweet. That would be really sweet. Oh my gosh, you guys are
drinking the grape soda and eating the chocolate donuts.
Yeah. So actually, this is kind of fun trivia for you, Chris. Snake Eyes is in Fortnite.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, he was in literally, I think, a couple months before I started playing. Like, I technically played before that when Fortnite first came out, but he wasn't in the game yet. But part of the 0x Fortnite event or whatever, he was part of that.
I think you can get a code for him in some of the old comics, right? Because it's like,
I don't think you still can. Because I will look into that, because
there was one that had Batman and Snake Eyes in it. I remember. I think I just took a bunch of those to somebody.
You can get Harley and some of her gear, and you can get Batman from a very specific event. He's kind of like almost like that Ben Affleck future apocalypse kind of version of Batman, where he's like war torn and got like a torn cape and stuff.
My son and my wife play Fortnite, so I get to watch vicariously through them playing.
What kind of pizza are the turtles eating, or can they cat people's asses? Well, they can do both. They can cat people's asses, and they're usually eating pineapple on their pizza because they know what's up. No, they're from New York, so they're usually eating pepperoni as pepperoni, maybe some cheese.
Tropes was right there. He said, why can't G.I. Joe be in Call of Duty?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You guys are thinking alike, man.
Right.
But yeah, that's kind of the fun part, is that Snake Eyes is in there, and I wish I had him. There's a website I track that would alert me if Snake Eyes ever shows up in the shop again. And I kind of hope that when the Snake Eyes movie came out that he'd come back. Unfortunately, it's usually I think the licensing is a little more complicated. They don't remove old characters from the game, but they don't often offer them up for purchase again.
Right. They've had Star Wars. They've had all that stuff, right?
Oh yeah. They have a Star Wars event every May 4th. Yeah, it's fun. I like it. Probably should stop talking about it.
Yeah. All right, let's talk about something else.
Let's talk about DC.
DC Studios update.
Yeah, big DC Studios update. There's lots of great sources for this. I went to Variety. Basically, we had just have a slate of announcements and kind of a roadmap or plan that was kind of revealed. So I'm trying to think what the bigger things that came out of this were. It's a great article. It's kind of more of an interview, but obviously they're talking about Superman. They're talking about season 2 of Peacemaker, Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow. They're saying production has started on the Green Lantern HBO series Lanterns. So that's really cool. They're aiming for an early 2026 debut. But let's see, what was the other stuff there? They talked about the initial slate of films, including Batman, the Brave and the Bold, The Authority, 5 TV series, including Waller and Booster Gold, as well as confirmation about a handful of other projects, including a film about Batman villain Clayface, a prospective live-action movie about the Teen Titans. That's exciting. Animated series about Blue Beetle, and the future of Sergeant Rock movie now that Daniel Craig has withdrawn from consideration for the title role. I believe we talked about that last week. Right. And let's see, there was other stuff in here too. They're aiming to do 2 live action films, 1 animated film, and 2 live action and 2 animated TV series per year, which seems like a pretty healthy pace.
Yeah. Well, that's good.
Yeah.
They said that Pattinson's not going to be in Brave and the Bold, right? So
yes, he is not going to be the DCU's Batman.
Okay.
So he's going to be like their Elseworlds. Those movies may still continue. I'm sure a lot of that depends on how well the Batman Brave and the Bold does. But yeah, the other one they talked about. I know they're talking about a Starfire series in here too.
Oh wow, that'd be cool.
Yeah, so they're going to do. I was trying to remember if it was animated or live action. Okay, so I think this is where they talked about it. And for animation, yep, Dynamic Duo, Blue Beetle, and 3 new TV series. Let's see, where do they talk about it? Sorry, it's been a while since I went through this. I think there's a Green Lantern. Yeah, My Adventures with Green Lantern will follow high school student Jessica Cruz, who has her life upended when, according to an official logline, a Green Lantern power ring falls from the sky. DC Superpowers, which takes place at the Alliance School for Heroes and focuses on new students Lightning, Flash, Plastic Man, Aquagirl, Green Lantern, and Terra, which is kind of cool to see Terra in a show. That's pretty fun. The Principal's Martian Manhunter. That's pretty cool.
There you go.
And then Starfire is going to serve as an origin story. And I think this was going to tie into the Teen Titans
Princess
film.
of Gemworld. What?
Yeah. Oh, dude, but Space Biker Crush. Yeah, that's cool. I know a lot of people like that.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
There's also Princess Amethyst.
That's Lobo's daughter, right?
Yeah. So
it saves space dolphins. All right.
Yeah. So, and here's title treatments.
That's really cool. It sounds like there's a lot of stuff that's like aimed at like retro too, like stuff that people are 80s and 90s people. It looks like.
Jay, who's pretty well versed on this stuff, says some stuff that has been on the back burner, like The Authority, Waller, and Swamp Thing. From some of the folks, one video said that Daniel Craig was never really in the running, so grain of salt. That makes some sense. I kind of wondered about that. I need to come on to an episode of Awesome Sauce Radio so we can have a discussion about pizza topics. Really, just pineapple? Yeah, absolutely. Spoiler alert, I'm a huge fan of pineapple on pizza. One of my favorite types of pizza is pepperoni and pineapple. So I'm a big fan.
Oh boy, the kid gloves come off.
Yep. Oh man, people are going to let me have it now.
Now.
But yeah, there's a lot of exciting information in there. I think that the DCU, we're getting close to Superman. We're getting close to seeing more projects come out. I know you and I both really enjoyed Creature Commandos. So a lot of exciting stuff.
New season of Harley. I'm enjoying that.
New season of Harley's been pretty solid.
Yeah.
Last season, I was kind of worried the show was kind of losing a step. This season, it feels a little bit more a little bit more bombastic.
It's just got the right level of wackiness in it. Like you're like, oh my goodness. Then you're like, oh, it's just so crazy.
You're drunk. What the hell, man? No, you don't put cold pineapple on the pizza. You cook it with the pizza. Yeah,
for sure.
No, absolutely. No, the reason I'm a madman is because I eat cereal without milk in it. That's what makes me a crazy person. Not always. I mean, like, there's plenty of cereal I put milk in, but I'm more than happy.
I take that driving truck. I throw it in a big little bowl with a little screw-on lid, snack on it. Yeah,
the Harley Quinn show is just called Harley Quinn. It's on Max / HBO streaming service.
The Adventures of Harley Quinn, or
it's just called Harley Quinn.
Harley and Ivy. Is it just called Harley?
It's just called Harley Quinn. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. It's super fun.
Poison Ivy is like a 1A
second main character.
Right? Yeah, exactly. For pretty much most of the show, although there's definitely, I think, especially the first season or so, you kind of get the impression things are more through Harley's lens, but I think that changes as time goes on. In that show, it's kind of become, kind of an ensemble cast in a lot of ways through different parts of the show.
Yeah, it's fun. I like characters popping back in from 2 seasons ago or 3 seasons ago and stuff. It's great. Yeah, I really enjoy it. I think it's a good time. And there's another, isn't there another DC show that's going? Oh, I hear the wind. The wind is picking up. Dun dun dun. Bomb bomb bomb. It's all right. It'll be good.
Yeah. Well, you say that when my lights start flickering and my modem.
Keep a positive vibe going on here. Clayface. He's definitely a main character as well.
Oh yeah. It's Alan Tudyk, right?
Yeah, he's pretty hilarious.
So let's get to our main topic, and the first thing I'll do on the main topic here is plug my own YouTube channel. That's right, folks. For a limited time, you can go subscribe to Bronze Age Nerd on YouTube. I'm just kidding.
Buy his merch.
Yeah, you can. I mean, it's true. You can do it. Just go over to the store tab. No. So I asked everybody yesterday who your top pick is to join Captain America Sam Wilson's Avengers. We're going to discuss that tonight. So that's what our main topic is that we're going to start rolling into here. As you can see, the front runner, and I had it. So I could have done a poll where I could listed a couple more options. In my experience, image polls, which is what this kind of poll is called on YouTube, get a lot more results, and they only let you do 4 options. So, I could have done a series of these, I guess. I probably should have done that. But Thor was the #1 winner by far. War Machine came in at 31%, Yelena at 17%, and Hulk at 7%. Hey, maybe I picked the wrong characters for this discussion or whatever, but I thought that was kind of a fun cross-section. I'd sort of, no worries here. I sort of wish some people may have commented like their favorite characters or characters they would have
or the lineup. Yeah, you should maybe comment your lineup below or whatever. That would be
please do, because I'm about to share the one we got earlier from Chris. He said that he would like to add She-Hulk, War Machine, Miss Marvel, Wiccan, Yelena, and Kate Bishop. He made the joke. It seems like you need some white guys. Thor and Hercules.
Thor and Hercules. And you get little button heads there.
Definitely going to be a little bit of that going on with that crowd. So that's a good lineup. I definitely have some of those in mind. So, and by the way, please, like Bigby was saying, please post your lineups here. We're choosing 6 Avengers to be under Sam Wilson.
Which was kind of hard because sometimes I was like, oh, there should be a 7th, but I was like,
yeah.
Okay, but.
Absolutely. It definitely made it interesting and kind of had to get down to a certain point where you kind of had to choose wisely. So I'm going to get back up here.
Yeah, I agree with you. I do miss Steve Rogers' cap. I think everybody does.
I mean, yeah, but
I think that's the point, though. I think that's the point that we're supposed to miss Steve Rogers' cap.
It's like if you miss your favorite show because they went out on a high note versus going like, gosh, these guys really have been going on too long, and they probably should hang up their
Well,
hat.
they really drug that out.
Yeah, it's the whole Seinfeld argument, right? But no, 100%. Like I hear you. The fun part about this is that Bigby and I don't know each other's answers. I went kind of weird on this one
because
because
I don't know your answers. I give you photos of my answer.
True. I tried not to analyze it too much.
Okay. I have reasons behind it, so I'll have readily discuss my line.
Good. I went weird on this one because what I did the first thing I did is I listed out every character I could think of that could conceivably be an Avenger in the MCU, because part of it is like who's still around, right? Like Captain America, Steve Rogers, he's not going to be an Avenger. Iron Man's not going to be an Avenger as Tony Stark, right? So I had to kind of list these characters out, and I started realizing like it was easier for me if I listed out, and I don't know if this is cheating or whatever, I listed out the team I'd want for the West Coast Avengers because I think the MCU needs that, and I listed out the Young Avengers I'd want as well.
Right, and I think it's coming.
Yes, Young Avengers seems more likely or quasi confirmed at this point. And West Coast Avengers, I think, is more of a pipe dream for me. But I think my lineups make sense. And I did tweak my main Avengers lineup a little bit based on that. But so Captain America Sam Wilson obviously is the leader of our team in both situations. So that you got your captain, your leader cemented there. So why don't you go over your first pick of who you would pair with Sam?
Well, I forget which picture I put first, but let's say I think I want to see Ant-Man and Giant Man in the team. So
okay. Do you want me to show your picture? Because I didn't do pictures, but I can.
Oh yeah, you could. Yeah, you can share mine.
Okay.
That's fine.
Why not? Pictures worth 1,000 words, as they say.
People like pictures. So yeah, no, I think Ant-Man, Giant Man, he deserves to be on the team.
That guy's huge. No, I'm just kidding.
I love Paul Rudd, and I think he'd be a great addition to the team. So there's my first member of my team. Is he on your team as well?
So that since he's on both of our teams, we can use this chance to talk about him a little bit. He's on my team as well. So I put him on there.
And I kind of wanted to go also with like not a lot of repeat powers. So
yes.
So spoiler alert, I didn't put the Falcon on the team with Captain America Sam Wilson. Even though he's probably going to be on that team, but I think maybe he'll be the man in the chair kind of thing. But who needs two guys with wings that do basically the same thing?
May I interest you in this movie called Captain America: Brave New World? Yeah. So Ant-Man is on my roster as well. So this will kind of reveal to you my lineup in a lot of ways. I tried to go as much as possible for a quote unquote classic Avengers lineup.
Okay.
So I'll kind of, piggyback right off your Ant-Man pick. I know this one isn't on your list because I do have it up on my screen now because I'm showing the pictures. I actually have Wasp on my list as well.
Oh, okay.
And even though it's not the same Wasp that was on the original Avengers lineup in the comics, I think that having Ant-Man and Wasp there, the part that I didn't like about doing that is it did sort of overlap power sets a little bit.
Right.
Then again, Ant-Man I feel like has been doing a lot more of the Giant Man stuff.
Right.
Especially in big moments like Endgame or the end of Ant-Man and Wasp, that kind of stuff.
Quantum Mania,
Civil War,
a lot of Giant Man stuff.
Yeah. And then Wasp, she kind of brings she has the flight stuff going on, and she kind of brings a I guess like a snarky attitude that I kind of like, that I think kind of balances things out from that personality as well. Right. She's also an experienced member. She's seen a lot of action throughout the MCU, so I think she kind of brings some experience to the team as well.
I'm trying to pull up my pictures so I can remember my list.
Oh, I got you. Well, I mean, I could put who you have first here if you want.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I have Hulk.
There we go.
So Smart Hulk, Professor Hulk. I'm thinking we're probably going to see him on the team. But yeah. So okay, I'll say a little bit of why I picked my team the way I did is that I think that they're going to want to have a payoff for Avengers Doomsday. And I think they're going to want to have as many characters that recognize Tony Stark as when he takes the mask off of Doom, and they're going to realize that that's the same guy, that he looks just like Tony Stark. So that's why I picked a lot of the characters. I wanted them to have previous interaction with Tony Stark.
Son of Crom, to answer your question, we are just doing the MCU characters specifically for Anthony Mackie's Sam Wilson kind of Captain America Avengers team. That's just a
Madison
lot of
has seen some things. She should be part of the team.
Like, oh my God, for real. Like my friend Jessica, that's Jessica with a Y and not where you think. That's where she was saying it. Yeah.
Wasp has led a lot of Avengers lineups, Dan. So yeah,
yep.
I can see that.
Yep. Absolutely.
And
here I'll kind of get, so Hulk is on my list. Originally I had She-Hulk on the list.
Okay.
Because my argument there is Professor Hulk, Smart Hulk, whatever you want to call him these days in the MCU. He goes by Smart Hulk, I think, in the MCU, right?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm writing our teams down here, so
okay. He seems to be less of a combatant these days,
right?
More of like wanting to be. I mean, he's kind of gravitated towards the Bruce Banner side of things, and so originally that's why I picked She-Hulk. And there's actually part of my reasoning was that Tatiana Maslany came out in an article recently saying that in an interview that she wants to be more of like an action. She wants to not just do the comedy stuff when she comes back as She-Hulk. She wants to kick some butt, she basically wants to do some of the action stuff and some of the serious stuff as well. Like she doesn't want to just be two-dimensional. By the way, props to her for saying that. I think that's a good self-aware kind of thing to point out. But I ended up putting She-Hulk on my West Coast Avengers team because she's in LA.
Oh, that makes sense. See, and I didn't have that regional restriction on my team. I was just kind of going with, like I said, people who knew Tony.
Yes. No, and that makes perfect sense. I'll also say that I had War Machine on my list as well, and I ended up putting him on the West Coast Avengers because he had a lot of experience on the West Coast Avengers and comics as well. So,
spoiler, I have War Machine on my team,
which is probably a pretty good
same reason. Rhodey's got the relationship, the history with
Tony.
In
spades, 100%. Yeah.
So I think that would be a big dramatic reveal, and so so I have him on the team, and I think he's a great character. I wanted that Iron Man kind of representation on the team.
Yes.
Tech guy. So I mean, Ant-Man's kind of a tech guy as well, but and I guess they're not really like the genius level kind of characters though. So, but I do have a genius level character later on.
Well, and I mean, we've both got Hulk on there, so
there's a Hulk is genius level. Yeah.
For sure. And especially in that iteration, so I think that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, for sure.
So War Machine is solid. Like I said, for me, because I'm doing the West Coast Avengers too, because honestly, I'll kind of, I won't just do it piece by piece. I'll tell you my West Coast Avengers lineup once we're done with our Avengers lineup, and I think it makes a lot of sense. Because I know Chris just mentioned Shang-Chi. I've got Shang-Chi on my West Coast Avengers because he was based in San Francisco.
He's in San Francisco as well. That's true. And I've watched some different things since we decided on this topic, and there's some people talking about that they really think Shang-Chi deserves to be an Avenger, and there was a lot of talk about that with him with Wong and stuff. I mean, at the end of Shang-Chi, they kind of make it. It sort of seems like that's where it's leading, right? So right.
But Punisher, War Machine. Oh my gosh, yes.
Yeah, I'm excited for that when they do that. They got to do that.
So I don't have a picture because it's not from Bigby's list, but my next pick, again, I'm going very much, and Bigby brought up a really good point. I'd probably have to change this, by the way, because I totally forgot about the events of the last Thor movie at the end. But my next pick was Thor. He brought up a great point, which is that Thor's probably too busy with the kid to do this.
Right.
But I think
like you're getting cosmic babysitter.
Thor with the Avengers has always been the least accessible member of the Avengers. I feel like in the MCU, like he's often kind of been portrayed as being like on oh my god, how did I just forget the name of on Asgard? Oftentimes, like when they're talking about, if you had different events going on that were outside of the main Avengers film. They're like, what happened with calling Thor? Well, we can't. He's on Asgard dealing with this, like
Right.
they were comfortable doing that anyway. So I feel like, yeah, I feel like that's an easy thing for them to say, is that he's mostly raising the kid, but when a special, need comes in, he's there. Plus he could raise the kid in the Avengers compound, right? Like, I mean, that's, sure.
I mean, you could put Madison can take care of the kid.
Yeah, Madison, she's a great babysitter.
I think tropes, what you're saying, are the Avengers too overpowered. I tried to let you mentioned Captain Marvel in particular. I kept her off my team because I believe she's too overpowered. And Dan said Rhodey was outed as a Skrull, but the real Rhodey was rescued at the end of the show, at the end of Secret Invasion. So
you are correct on
War
both
Machine again.
So I actually tried to power up my team.
Okay.
And I was trying to power them up because the way I looked at it, and part of it is you'll see, again, I have this West Coast Avengers lineup. I have a Young Avengers lineup. We have the Fantastic Four coming. Obviously, they're from a different reality, but we have to assume after the events of Secret Wars.
Don't jump the gun. You're on 5. I'm on 4.
So. Oh, I'm not jumping the gun here. I'm just saying that
so Thor was your power up. Is that what you're saying?
Well, he's one of them.
Okay.
But I'm just saying that I think that they need some heavy hitters, because they've got to be the people that you call in when Galactus or Silver Surfer shows up, or when another Thanos comes along. They're kind of like more your cosmic threat intervention team. Like I feel like at this point. So I didn't want wanted specifically the opposite of the Yelena says in the trailer for the new Thunderbolts movie, like, wait a minute, none of us can fly. We can all punch and shoot.
Right.
I kind of wanted to avoid that on purpose. So you're at 4, I'm at 5. Is that what we got?
Yep.
Okay, so who's your 5th that you want to talk about?
So my 5th member, because he's not busy being Sorcerer Supreme, I picked Doctor Strange. I think we need the mystic element, somebody who can handle the mystic arts. And so Doctor Strange, if he's too busy, I guess maybe they did allude to Wong maybe being, so then we can drag in Madison as a side character. But so I think Doctor Strange would be a great addition to the team. I loved in New Avengers when Doctor Strange was brought into the team. And then we got Brother Voodoo, who became Sorcerer Supreme. So that was pretty cool.
See, I feel like by the way, I made my list the day before I saw the Young Avengers or the Strange Academy wasn't being made. But in my head, I'm kind of thinking like maybe he'll be too busy with that when I made my list. And I was also thinking like literally we see the Multiverse of Madness stuff. He's going to be running around with Clea now. There's kind of like this, multiversal threat kind of thing that he's kind of seeing coming in his timeline. I kind of thought he'd be too occupied to be part of the Avengers right away. And I also thought Strange, to me, for me personally, I've always enjoyed Strange being the guy that the Avengers come to, at the Sanctum Sanctorum and ask for help and for guidance and that kind of thing. And that's just me. He's obviously super powerful and probably one of the people who could have, soloed or stood up to Thanos.
He's super powerful, but he's not as powerful anymore than he doesn't have the time stone.
Right. That's true too. You're right.
And I thought about that the other day. I was thinking like the whole, from the first Doctor Strange movie, the Dormammu I've come to bargain thing. Mm-hmm. He doesn't have that over Dormammu anymore. He doesn't have the thing where he can hold him in an eternal time loop.
True.
Like, that's kind of scary.
True. I think your math might have been off on mine, by the way. So I've got Ant-Man, Wasp, Thor, and Hulk.
I've got Cap, or we both have Cap. So that's
he doesn't count though. He's not one of the 6.
Oh, he was one of my 6.
Oh,
6-man team, including Cap. I had Cap as one of my members.
No, you've got 5 plus an extra bonus picture there where you went a couple different ways.
No, where I said I could swap one of these out because I had too many dongs on my team.
Oh. Well, okay, fair enough. Sorry, I'll let you kind of think about that for a second, because I will say I put in the last. I'll put it this way, because I just talked about her. I put in White Widow. I put in Yelena on the team. Now I'm really hesitant about that because I feel like Thunderbolts might completely change that around with what she's got going on, probably. But I did want to stick pretty close to a classic Avengers lineup, and obviously Black Widow herself can't be around for that. So I thought, well, hey, why not White Widow instead? It kind of evens out that lineup a little bit. So she was my 5th character.
Well, you can take off my second set of photos there. I had Thor. If they can find out a way for him to not have the kid with him, Thor would be also another person who needs Tony.
For sure.
Would be a good addition to the team.
Do you want to? You can see it backstage. Should I do that one next for you?
Yeah, that's my next one after that. So yeah, that's my other genius. So my other genius is going to be Peter Parker, because the heart-wrenching relationship he had with Tony and all of that. So I mean, like how you reveal Doom to be Tony's face, then there's going to be a massive reaction there. So so I had Spider-Man, and I think that'd be really cool because they don't even remember. Nobody remembers he's Peter Parker.
Yeah, that's true.
So I think that would be a really cool addition to the team. I love the character. So I mean, Tom Holland has done a great job. I saw something over YouTube just before we came on that they're talking about launching Spider-Man again. I'm like, no, don't do that.
That's so weird. Like you're in a weird spot to do that because I think that you're primed to bring in. You could make the argument that all the Tom Holland Spider-Man stuff. It's so funny because I loved how they didn't do an origin story for it, and yet really with where he's at right now, they've kind of done the beginning arc of what Spider-Man's career usually is in the comics. And you're kind of launching into the next phase of his career and kind of where he goes from there. Because, I feel like you've kind of handled some of that basic stuff that happens up front with May's death kind of replacing Uncle Ben's death in a lot of ways.
Right, for sure, yeah. So you got that Parker angst now.
Yeah.
We're going to have to go back and read through some of the read through some of the chat here after we get done with our team because there's a lot of great discussion going on.
And we will get to all of it for sure. I do want to point out one thing, Dan. Michelle Pfeiffer was not Clea. It was oh my gosh,
Charlize Theron, wasn't it?
Yeah, Charlize Theron. Thank you. I couldn't pull a name for a second, but Michelle Pfeiffer was Janet, right?
Yes.
Yeah. For a second, I blanked on her name too. But yeah, we'll definitely get to everybody's comments on the lineups here in a second. My last member is Captain Marvel. And again, I was going for a strong, tough team, classic characters for that cosmic threat. By the way, I love Bigby. I love your kind of like connections to Iron Man theme that you got going on. It's great.
I just try to put a little bit of thought into it that way. Like, okay, we're going to be going into Doomsday. And I didn't think my team should be, that team is pretty powerful, but they got to lose, right? They got to lose at the end of Doomsday.
So good. So this is exactly what I wanted to kind of talk about. Awesome Sauce brings up this point. So especially for my lineup, where are the street level characters? What? No Daredevil, and I don't even have Spider-Man. Who's often kind of like the king of the street level characters in some ways, although he can definitely punch above that weight class. That's it for me. The Avengers shouldn't be street level heroes.
Right. No, that's what we were talking about. That ecosystem of characters. We've got the Avengers, who are the big, national and cosmic threats, and then we've got. You've got Daredevil and Spider-Man and Luke Cage. These guys Luke Cage, who can hold his own on the Avengers, but all these guys that are, or even Iron Fist, I guess, but or Jessica Drew even.
Jessica Jones.
She was apparently an Avenger for a little bit, right, or something, or she attacked the Avengers. She attacked the Avengers in the comics.
I think she was both.
Yeah, but I think there's a whole ecosystem of levels of characters. So we have the Avengers level, we've got the street level, we've got the Marvel, the stuff that's under the radar, the horror level, the dark in the sewers, in the swamps, don't know what's going on characters. And we've got some crossover characters like Strange and Wong would cross over with those horror characters, right? And we've got
and Daredevil should totally cross over with Strange at some point too. And there should be there should be, and that's so for me, that's a huge part of it. Like the reason Spider-Man's not on my lineup is very similar to the reason why I wouldn't put Strange on my lineup, because to me, it's so much more fun when Spidey comes zooming in as like the guest star to team up to a certain extent. Like I would give pretty much everybody else that's been mentioned an Avengers card, but not necessarily have them be on the poster for the Avengers team, right? Like,
Right.
And especially when I get to, like, you know, because I'll do it super fast. I've got like a West Coast Avengers lineup, a Young Avengers lineup, but you know, you could have the Great Lakes Avengers, you could have all those kinds of people as well. Foggy Nelson, Sorcerer Supreme. There you go.
It's Ned Leeds, right?
Oh yeah,
yeah, he's doing the.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, he's got a little bit of that in him. They said that was like an ancestral thing, right? Like,
yeah, he's like there's magic runs in my family or something.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I guess so. I'll just, because I did kind of allude to it, I'll just go through it super quick. My West Coast Avengers were Hawkeye, and I mean Clint Barton Hawkeye, War Machine, She-Hulk.
Hawkeye would be also another character that knows Tony. He could definitely cross over.
Totally. And then that's why. So, and that was my justification for not putting him on the Avengers. He would also be kind of a street level character in some ways, but he's so closely associated with the West Coast Avengers. He's the one that originally founds them anyway. Makes sense to have him be the guy out there, right? Shang-Chi, Vision, and as my fun little nod here, I put Moon Knight on the team because it's really fun when they send Moon Knight out to the West Coast Avengers. And I think that'd be really dope. And I put an
fun character to play with. Yeah.
Yes. And I did put an asterisk character on there because technically he's not introduced, but he does have a project coming to the MCU. I believe it's officially announced. I'm pretty sure.
Wonder Man, right?
Wonder Man. Yeah, exactly. Yep. So another classic West Coast Avenger.
We got some lineups coming in.
And then I'll go through my Young Avengers lineup and then we'll get to the chat. Young Avengers, I had Kate Bishop leading the team. Miss Marvel, Ironheart, Stature, which is, you know, Cassie Lang, Wiccan, and so I kind of put in the last spot 3 characters we don't have yet. I think it makes a lot of sense to put Hulkling in there. It makes a lot of sense to put Iron Lad in there. It makes a lot of sense to put Patriot in there. We technically don't have any of those characters yet, but I'm sure you could easily introduce one or more of them with the Young Avengers. You know, I think most fans would want all 3 of them, but I was trying to keep the lineup kind of reasonably sized.
Hulkling is I would argue that we saw Hulkling at the end of the Agatha All Along, where the kid was drowning and he put his brother's soul into the kid.
Oh,
he's probably a Skrull.
Yeah, interesting. And, yeah, I didn't think about that. That's a good point.
So we probably saw Hulkling unknowingly. But.
Oh, and Jay, so you kind of bring up a good point here too. You said you think they're going to use Scar. There's some really interesting characters like on my list. There's some characters we talked about, super powerful characters. So Scar's on my list. You know, a lot of people don't think about him. I don't know whether or not the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. stuff is considered canon at this point. I don't think a lot of people do. But like Robbie Reyes, Ghost Rider, was introduced in that team, or in that show. Quake, Mockingbird. They're probably going to do different versions of those characters, obviously, but they could be part of it. But the one that I thought was most interesting for powerful characters is Gia from Secret Invasion, which we talked about earlier.
Right.
She's got like super amazing OP powers, and we don't know what's going on with her. I didn't include any of the Guardians. I didn't include Adam Warlock. I figured they're kind of off doing their own thing. I
considered Peter Quill because he's on Earth right now, right?
Yes, but I feel like he's got his own thing that's going to be going on with his arc, and he's probably going to be focusing on that for a while. I hope because I think he deserves to focus on himself and his family in a kind of a standalone Star-Lord adventure for a while. I bet you it's a while before he's freed up to be like an Avenger, is my guess. We all know the Avengers lineup's going to change pretty much every film or whatever anyway. So, yeah.
Yep.
There you go. The Comic Tropes is predicting a nice little hookup between Scar and Nick Fury. There you go.
Yeah, okay.
Bang one out.
All right.
So we should probably discuss everybody's lineups they brought up real quick.
So my unrealistic lineup. I kept saying to you, I want a blue furry beast in there.
It'd be fun. It'd be so much fun. I think that's a really good one. And then I said that's not unrealistic enough, and he put in Scarlet Witch, which I thought was pretty.
I put in Scarlet Witch. I put in the original Steve Rogers. I put in Tony. I'm like, okay, here's unrealistic for you.
And there's so many characters people I know are going to mention. Another one you kind of had as an alternate for one of your positions, Shuri. I think Shuri is going to be too busy doing her own thing again. She give her an
character
Avengers
who
card.
Tony though, right? She's met Tony.
Definitely.
So,
definitely.
I put that because I said my original team. I told you, I'm like, my original team has too many dongs, so we can switch out Hulk for She-Hulk, and we can switch out Shuri for Doctor Strange.
I agree. The Outer Space Avengers should have Cosmic Ghost Rider, but they probably should introduce Ghost Rider proper before they do Cosmic Ghost Rider, because
Groot,
it's already confusing enough.
Let's just take all the Guardians and put them in the Cosmic Avengers.
Yeah, and that's kind of in my head. That's kind of how it is in a way.
Right.
More Human Torch, that'd be fun. We need to get. We don't really know how the FF stuff's going to shake up. I have a good idea in my head how it could go. Like, I think we're going to get them in their standalone movie. The whole Secret Wars thing is going to happen, and they're going to get brought into the MCU. That's what I think is going to happen.
Right.
But
I put that in my trailer. I was like Deadpool and Wolverine. I'm like, yeah, and X-23. It's like, let's throw those on the Avengers.
And I think Wiccan is going to step up for the Young Avengers. I can see that happening. Never apologize for your typos. You're all good.
You're all good, buddy. We appreciate every little message you put through, buddy.
Yep. Awesome sauce. You are awesome. So Dracula says his Avengers are Thor, but he's Hulk-sized. Wolverine, but he can also fly. Spider-Man, Hulk-sized with 8 arms. Captain America, but he's Hulk-sized and Canadian. And Hulk, who's Hulk-sized and on fire. I wish you would have said that Hulk-sized was like Ant-Man sized or something. That would have been great.
Hulk, but he's Ant-Man sized. So you're going with the total Elseworlds version. I mean, we've had 8-armed Spidey and or 6-armed Spidey, right?
Yeah, doppelganger.
And or when Morbius first appeared, he tried to cure himself of his powers, right? And he ended up getting 6 arms and 2 legs.
But they refer to that version of Spidey as doppelganger, I think.
Oh, okay.
At least maybe that's just what they call figures or whatever of that. You sure you don't want Ruth as your cool short Black Widow? I don't know how I feel about that character yet. Sabra, basically.
Sabra, yeah. She had some great lines. I liked a lot of what she had to say.
Yeah. And I don't want to get too spoilery, but she's obviously in the movie.
Yeah, I enjoyed the actress that played her. I thought, yeah.
But I guess I could say this without being a spoiler. I have a feeling she's in her position that she's going to be in, kind of alongside. There's kind of a void of like a Nick Fury spy government agent right now, right? So I think she's kind of filling that role.
Right.
Not really Nick Fury, but more of like that spy kind of role.
I think we're heading to a lot of different teams being built. Is what we're going to see.
Yeah, I agree. Captain Canada, aka the Maple Slayer. Yeah, I mean, putting Captain America on the Avengers, putting Captain Canada on the Avengers would be.
Wouldn't that be Guardian from Alpha Flight?
Well, I mean, there's also Captain Canuck, right?
Yeah, that's not Marvel though.
That's true. Yeah, you're right. Peter would be perfect actually because he's unknown now. Yeah, exactly, 100%. No more Zendaya, MJ. Well, nothing wrong with that, but yeah. Did anyone hear that Miles Teller was coming back as the Maker version of Reed? Is that confirmed? Oh man, I hadn't heard that.
Oh, I hadn't heard that, but that's interesting.
Yeah, very interesting. Perfect entry point for Secret Wars for Parker. That's true. If they did want to do a new Spider-Man, if they want to do a new Kang, if they want to do a new blah blah blah, you insert thing here. This is kind of they're coming up on their perfect opportunity to do it.
Oh, we're definitely going to get Miles. It's going to come out of Secret Wars, right? So.
Right. Yeah. Marvel or Marvel? I definitely meant Captain Marvel. Look, I'll just straight up say it. I know that Captain Marvel, not the most popular character with a lot of people, but look, I'm wearing my Rogue shirt, folks. I want Captain Marvel on the team, and I want her to get depowered by Rogue.
Oh, there you go.
Want that to happen.
You can see that. So that we get the reason why Rogue has the flight powers and everything else, right?
I want
that happens,
comic accurate, comic accurate-esque introduction of Rogue, at least in those terms, because I think that's a big part of her character. And I honestly bet that Brie Larson would probably be happy to take a break from the role for a while, or at least be able to do the role in a different way, right?
Right.
So it could have different consequences for Captain Marvel too. Like
be almost like a Sharon Carter kind of character or something.
Yeah, or maybe she could get like a slightly different power set and just do like kind of a Warbird run, or I don't know. You could do a lot of different things there. I'm not saying you got to totally take out Brie Larson, Captain Marvel. I'm saying I'm okay with it, but I also, if she's around, I want her doing stuff. Like the whole Captain Marvel is off in space just doing random stuff that we never hear about thing is getting old to me.
There's more important things going on than just the stuff here on Earth. I got to be in space.
Yeah, and I think that personally, I'd rather see her be like, a couple of these things probably wouldn't have happened if I was around. Maybe I should stick around and just kind of take care of Earth for a while too.
Right. I mean, that's kind of what they do with Thor too, right? It's like, I've got to take care of things in Asgard, so
yeah,
But now we don't have Asgard anymore, so
true. Yeah. It's definitely a very different situation for him now. Dan can't wait to see. Oh, go ahead.
We do have the tree, the world tree, at the end of Loki. So I mean, Asgard can come back.
Absolutely. Dan can't wait to see Mike Coulter back as Luke Cage.
I did enjoy him as Luke Cage.
Yeah, I one of the news articles I cut for Time was kind of talking about some of the reasoning why we haven't seen Jessica Jones and Luke Cage and Iron Fist back yet. I'll paste that into chat for those that want to read that. I just didn't have time to kind of go over it, but I'll paste that in right now so everybody can kind of
saw something that said that Marvel has acknowledged that's all canon now, though. So
yeah, they've slowly backtracked. They're backtracking on the Netflix stuff, basically. I think they can kind of still. I think they basically are at where they can still kind of pick and choose and say certain things didn't happen. Because I think some things from Daredevil are going to be different, is kind of what they've alluded to. But the show itself, for the most part, happened. It's in the.
Right. I mean, we've got happy-go-lucky Daredevil down in San Francisco with She-Hulk, and then we've got this brooding, I want to kill everybody Daredevil in New York. I mean, what's going on?
Yeah. Comic Strip says the street level character is the viewpoint character, the aspirational one that can hang at that level. That's true. It's true in a lot of ways. I think for the Avengers, though, for the MCU, as opposed to a comic book, where I completely agree with you, I don't know if we really need a street level character to kind of be our eyes anymore for who the Avengers are. I think in some ways you could argue that Sam Wilson's kind of that character in a little bit, as we're going to see him kind of start up this new team.
Hawkeye's always been kind of that character too,
in a lot of ways. But in a comic book, completely agree with that. And I also love in comic book team lineups having a character who's human or peak human, which they sometimes would call it back in the comic books, because they're like athlete level humans or whatever, kind of your Black Widows, your Hawkeyes, that kind of stuff. But I don't think it's necessary in the movies. Maybe that's just me. Figure drawings lineup: Squirrel Girl, Spider Ham, Dupe, Rocket Raccoon, Paste Pot Pete, and Dazzler. The only problem is we don't have most of those characters yet in the MCU, but it's a great lineup. I think it would be a great Lakes Avengers lineup for sure. Tropes came with his team. Nick Fury, Echo, Falcon, Scar, Hercules, and Druig. Okay. Gosh, did Druig? I thought he died. No, he made it through.
He's one of the Warriors 3, right?
Wasn't Druig one of the Eternals?
Oh yeah, no, he is one of the Eternals. That's right. I don't know which ones made it.
One, kind of, right? Man, I don't remember that now. So, and I guess the elephant in the room is Falcon. We kind of both talked about it. I think he'll be on the team, so he'd probably replace, I don't know, White Widow or Captain Marvel or something like that on my lineup, because he's almost guaranteed to be there. He might be right. He might be.
Why? But why?
Yeah. Namor, Spider-Woman, again, who we don't really have, Moon Knight, Mr. Immortal, Machine Man, and Hyperion, who we don't have yet, although who's rumored.
Hey, Sydney Sweeney It's Spider-Woman right there.
But she's not.
We had to drop Sydney's name somewhere in here.
Yeah, it's true. We're contractually obligated. We have a sponsorship from Squatchbox where we had it. No, we don't really. Squirrel Girl can babysit Forest Kid from Love and Thunder. There you go.
There we go.
I like that idea. Let's see here. They're giving you Scar. Let's see if we can tell some of their lineups. I'm going to kind of zoom ahead a little bit just to get to lineups. Dan said Deathlock, Quake, Reyes, Ghost Rider, Mockingbird, all awesome from the Shield show. I agree. Yeah, for the most part. I mean, you could kind of reinterpret some of those characters for the big screen because I think some of them, like Deathlock, probably deserved a little bit higher budget look to him and that kind of stuff. But I mean, you know, they were working with a TV show budget. Quake, phenomenal. Bring her in, as is pretty much. Reyes, they did a really good job with. Mockingbird, they did a really good job with. Blue Marvel would be cool. Yeah, we need Blue Marvel, period. I remember when a lot of people thought when WandaVision was out that Blue Marvel was going to come in and be the one that designed the vehicle to get into the bubble with, and they were all disappointed when it was just some random like scientist. Thor Carol romance. I never thought about that. That'd be interesting. I think it's too soon after losing Jane for Thor, though, for somebody who's lived for such a long time.
Right.
Ryan Gosling cast as new Ghost Rider. I have not heard that. Yeah, they say they don't consider the show canon, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., Awesome Sauce, but I feel like it's a slippery slope with them making the Netflix stuff canon. He wants an 80-year-old Nick Fury hobbling around on screen.
So Gilgamesh and Ajax died in the movie. In the Eternals.
Okay. Wait, did Icarus die too? And
no.
Athena?
Oh, wait. This says, yes, Icarus died in the Eternals. Wait.
I thought Athena died too.
Icarus flies away. Okay, it says Icarus flew into the sun.
Well, yeah, of course. Then he's got to live up to his name, right?
Did we actually see him die, though?
Yeah, well, there's also that, too.
Yeah, this says, so, yeah. Officially, Gilgamesh and Ajax are confirmed dead.
Have a good night, Crom. You also want to add a pack when Cammy is Rogue and Secret Wars. Is that too much to ask? I don't know, Camia. I don't know if that's a text-to-speech thing, maybe, or am I missing a character that I should know there?
There's a text-to-speech thing. Add a pack. What is he saying? Anna Paquin as...
Oh, that would make a lot of sense. That actually, I'm sure that's what he meant. That good call. Wait, don't we have to have Thor and Deadpool? Well, right. I mean, so coming out of Deadpool and Wolverine, people talked about that scene a lot. Am I the only one that thought that was just a joke about Thor Ragnarok?
Yeah, it was the gag from Thor Ragnarok. But
I mean, I'm sure they could still do it and have it pay off as like a joke, like mini films later. But
right, they could.
Yeah, but it could just as easily be the thing where Deadpool thinks it's funny to pretend he's dying and, you know, make
just like he did at the end of Deadpool 2, right?
She-Hulk, Yelena, Miss Marvel, Jessica Jones, Kate Bishop, Wanda, Cersei, and Madison.
So
going for the all-female
team.
A-Force. It'd be a fun lineup.
Wanda's back.
Yeah, well, yeah, there's that. I mean, you know. But why was Thor crying?
The Eternals can all come back. Yeah. They're all robots, right? So
yeah,
apparently they're biological robots, aren't we all?
Anna Paquin from Fly Away Home, not Rogue.
Have you seen? I saw somebody was talking about there's that thing called the Rogue cut for Future Past, the movie.
Yeah, because
it has added scenes and dialogue.
Yeah, she was kind of infamously cut from the majority of the film.
Or all the way better.
I hear that a lot. Yeah, I think I kind of could one of those things where people are kind of clamoring for it, like the Snyder cut, though. Hey, before I show community art real fast, well, I mean, comments will still keep rolling in. I'm sure we'll kind of get back to it a little bit.
But for all your input, though, we appreciate it.
Oh yeah, 100%. And we're, if you're watching this on the rewind or you want to leave a comment afterwards, we'd love to hear about your Avengers lineup. We are going to do like a comic version, probably not right away because we just did the MCU version, but we'll do like an ideal X-Men lineup, not just for MCU stuff, but might just be in comic books. We might do a draft. We're kind of playing around with some of these lineup ideas. We'll sprinkle them in. We won't do it like week to week because that could get a little old, but we'll sprinkle those in. We thought of a lot of fun ones we want to do. So
tropes.
dare I even look?
Falcon Uatu, Stone Cold Steve Austin, Blue Beetle, and Sam Jackson.
Blue Beetle. As long as Sam Jackson's on there, he's happy.
Avengers 316.
Oh, God. I'm not even a wrestling guy, and I love it. So I gotta share our community artwork, which we're gonna talk about. Before I pull up the community artwork, I do want to point out that we have another show coming up on the EXP tomorrow night. Again, you could be watching us over on the EXP right now. If you're not subscribed, I do recommend doing that. Link is in the description below. But tomorrow you can also catch Kicking It with Henri. That's Henri Compin. He's going to have a live claim sale show going on at 10 Eastern, 9 Central, which would be 7 Pacific. Oh my gosh, I believe I nailed all the plugs for tomorrow night's show. Folks, collect your winnings.
Will be released for now.
My exploding collar pops off. Here's some community artwork I want to make sure we highlight because we got some awesome artwork again this week, as we have every week for the last few weeks. I'm so excited. Remember, if you want to get your own community artwork featured on the show, literally all you got to do is send it to us, and we're going to feature it on the show. So you don't have to be professional. You don't have to be at any kind of standard. You just have to want to share your artwork. And
I've actually had some new people telling me that they are picking up a pencil and paper to draw for the first time.
Yes.
It's inspired by what we're doing. So that's really cool.
It's working. I should mention real fast, since I'm showing the artwork here, this is Roscoe's artwork. We always love Roscoe sharing his love. Yeah. Got the super turtle punch here going on. I always mix them up. This is Rocksteady, right? No, this is Bebop.
That's Bebop, right?
Yeah, it's Bebop.
Rocksteady is the Rhino, right?
Yeah, he freaking killed Bebop, man. Like, there's X's on the eyes. That means he's dead. He killed Bebop with one punch. He's One Punch Man. One Punch Turtle. Excellent work, Roscoe.
That's beautiful.
Hey, I don't know if Noran's still in the chat, but he was definitely in here for a good chunk of the show. We appreciate that. Rad Art and Comics. This is aka Noran Rad doing an really awesome mirror here. Very cool. I like that a lot. Good use of color on her costume too.
Thank you to all you guys that I hit people up every week that have previously submitted anything new you want to show, and thank you to all you guys who respond. I really appreciate it.
Very cool. Like that a lot. This was from James, aka RD Musings.
Yeah, he said he's doing there's a challenge, a panel a day challenge. He's nerdy musings. He's the guy who does the podcast show,
right?
But his IG for his art is RD Musings, and so
that's why I wanted to mention that, because I figured it'd be easier to find him that way.
Yeah, so he's doing a panel a day challenge, which I was like super impressed. He's doing like a nice high quality panel, as well as living his regular life and doing a job. And
and I just want to read this for people that need help reading that. It says, while the hero didn't consider himself philosophical, he followed a principle that could be considered in the same vein. When confronted by unabashed evil, stand strong and face it with all your might, which is a great quote there. Like that.
Yeah, I think he's writing that as well.
Yeah, that's really cool.
So
a good challenge.
Really, really cool.
Yeah.
Which I reached out to one of our friends, Bleecker Street, and to see if he had anything he wanted to show. And he told me he had just finished writing something, and he's got an team working on it, and he's going to be doing a Kickstarter. So that's pretty cool. Yeah,
I'm definitely going to make sure that we pop that up when it's ready to launch.
Yeah,
I heard him talking about the other night. That's cool. This is from Headless Hammerhead. This was a kind of a homage to that Iron Maiden cover right there that you see in the top corner. He kind of overlaid that so you could see it with
cool.
Kermit. I know he's a big Iron Maiden fan. I'm not super familiar with all their stuff, but very cool.
It's a great homage.
Yeah.
Hey, see you, Awesome Sauce. Thanks for being here.
Have a good night, man. Appreciate it. You have a great week as well. This is Eric, SideQuest Comics. This is fantastic.
Yeah, it's beautiful. Watercolor and pen and ink.
Gives me Okami vibes. The game Okami.
It's beautiful work.
Love it. This is one of the ones that I kind of literally went. There's two. I mean, hey, look, they're all great, but there's two this week that really made me just go, wow. And this was one of them.
Yeah, it's really nice.
Good job. This is phenomenal. This is from Elliot Wright.
Yeah.
Speaking of Michelle Pfeiffer, get the Pfeiffer Catwoman. Really did a good job there.
Yeah, his work is amazing.
Yeah, really captured that well. And then this is from Dominic Gomez. Excuse me.
Yeah, I love the fisheye effect he did on that. The buildings and everything kind of warping.
Yeah, even on the characters, there's because of the arms perspective is like that, and the legs there too. That's phenomenal to keep that perspective all kind of in mind when you're doing this.
Yeah, it's really cool.
Yeah, and I like the color palette too, kind of like the sunset kind of dusk kind of thing going on there.
Yeah, we should guys check him out. He has a webcomic and everything else. So he's on Instagram.
Try to zoom in on the art there a little bit more for you. Very cool. And then this is from Dan Kelly, and I'll do the same thing earlier on this one. Dan did a sketch cover for us, by the way, and some donations for Heroes, as well as many of the people that we feature here. But I just, since first piece of art in a while we'd featured his, I wanted to shout him out for that reason as well. Kind of got a classic X-Men 1 homage kind of thing going on here.
Yeah, very cool.
Yeah,
nice. I really like the Colossus.
Colossus is really cool. Stands out. The Storm and Banshee really got my attention there too, with their kind of the wings, I guess, and cape.
Colossus just looks so menacing there.
Yeah. Yep. Love it. CJ Design coming out with Joker Batman love there. Kind of a little 50 Shades of Gray going on, maybe. You
got the hypodermic needle with the creepy goodness
toxin. That's really good. Good job, CJ Design.
Yeah, very cool.
Go give him a follow on IG as well as all these artists. And then this was the other one, Drac. If you're still in here, good job, man.
He's like, this is a little different. I was like, holy crap, that's cool.
Dude, that's straight up. That would sell like hotcakes if that was a variant cover. Yeah, that's really cool. Good job.
Good job, everybody. Thank you so much for submitting. I really appreciate it. And again, if anybody has stuff that they want to send us, we would gladly take a look at it and get it on the show. And
oh yes, absolutely. Dan says, did you see the recent Dan Panosian covers for the current Catwoman run? I have not, actually. I'm gonna go check those out though, because I'm very curious about that now. I like Dan Panosian quite a bit.
I like Tropes' lineup: War Machine, Bigby McFly, Sergeant Slaughter, an Amazing Spider-Man 2 version of Green Goblin, D's Nuts.
My favorite part about that is D's Nuts. Bigby McFly and Sergeant Slaughter. Interesting. Oh, this reminds me. Did I send you that Wicked reel?
Yes, that was hilarious.
My gosh. I wish I could remember the name of the account, but there's a great reel where they took Wicked and they overdubbed it over a scene from Norman Osborn,
Tobey Maguire.
The Tobey Maguire Spider-Man movie with Green Goblin. Oh my god, it was funny.
Goblin is playing the part of the
witch.
The witch, singing to Peter. It's hilarious.
Oh my god, it was just so good. And I haven't seen Wicked, and I still thought it was hilarious. But
Oh, you haven't seen it yet? It was pretty good.
no, I do actually want to watch it, but it's one of those ones that with my wife and daughter, I think they're kind of waiting for the right time to watch. We've been watching the Lord of the Rings extended movies and stuff like that. They take forever to get through, so that'll be next for us when we go to watch something. I think
Yeah, I think
either
your
that
daughter will
or
really enjoy it.
Harold and the Purple Crayon is probably the other one that might be on our list.
Oh yeah, I haven't seen that one yet. That one looks pretty good though.
Yeah. 50 Shades of Grey. I love it. Oh man, that's a good one. Yeah, boy, I should have brought as many lineups as I brought. I should have brought a joke lineup too. But I didn't think of one. We don't have our official topic picked out for next week. So I want to use this as a good reminder to let everybody know that we do love topic ideas. Some ideas we've had and we've shared with you have come from not necessarily formal suggestions, but from the chat, things we've talked about. But if you have suggestions, you drop it in the live chat, throw it into a comment down below as you're watching the video. Hey, why don't you guys do this kind of lineup? Or, one thing we've talked about doing is some creator kind of highlights or retrospectives on their career, kind of highlighting some of our favorite things from certain artists or writers. So we have some of that kind of content planned, but if there's stuff you want to see or certain, comics you want us to talk about or certain creators or certain themes in the comic book collecting world you want us to talk about, we'd love to hear about it. I think that would be awesome. You reviewed a movie by the Wicked director for the next trash movie of Bonanza. Jorge Corona joined to discuss Step Up to the I think it's supposed to be the streets, right? The Streeters. Yeah, that's really cool. I love trash movie Bonanza. My favorite today is still Madam Web. Guys, go check out Comic Tropes, and that takes place on his second channel, I believe, Comic Tropes After Dark. So go watch that. Topic: best non-superhero comic book movies. Yeah, that'd be fun. We actually talked about doing like best adaptations. Maybe we could kind of
superhero could be fun.
Do that too. Yeah. Love it.
I'll write it down. All right.
Yeah, I appreciate that. How about you, Bigby? You got anything coming up this week that you want to talk about in the old comic sphere?
This weekend I just went up and handed off a large quantity of books to Future Past Vintage Collectibles. And they're going to be helping to move that. So I want to kind of promote them. You guys can find them on Instagram and on whatnot. And they're going to be selling a lot of my books for me. And we're going to be splitting the proceeds. So,
nice.
Give them a follow. They're good people. I think I told the story about he was here trading with me and he was doing the grading of the books and I was doing the pricing. And he opened up Daredevil 181 and he was looking at it and he says, you don't want to sell this to me. And I said, what? He closed it up, put it back in the bag, and he handed it to me. And I opened it up, and it had Frank Miller's signature in it. He could have just as easily just closed it up, said, "Oh, it's a near mint plus. What's the price?" But he was very honest with me and straightforward. So I think that speaks volumes about his character. And
definitely,
he's a cool guy.
Definitely, yeah. It's in a weird way, it's kind of sad to be praised for doing the right thing, but at the same time, like it's rare. So. It's one of those things that's definitely an indicator of somebody who's doing things above board. Right on. So yeah, definitely check that out. Is that his name on it's on Whatnot too, right? Or does he do it on
he's Whatnot, Instagram, YouTube, and then also that new one. What was the new one I was telling you about?
Encore?
Encore. Is that what it is? Yeah.
I think that's what it is. I've never been there, but I don't think it's Envoy, which I think is the one that we were kind of mistaking.
Encore, yeah, it is Encore, which they have really cool. Like they just launched comics on there, and their giveaways, like unlike Whatnot, like the giveaways are announced, and you just hit sign up for the giveaway, and you don't have to be there when the giveaway happens. You can still win. I actually won a couple of Funko Pops the other day.
Oh, right on. So very cool. So that's what's coming up there. Go check out Take the Time. I'll have an interview coming out soon. I'm going to sit down with Christopher Priest on Thursday and do an interview. I think I'm going to do that as a recorded interview and put it out on the channel. So if you have any questions you want me to talk or topics you want me to bring up with Christopher Priest, drop me a comment or get in touch with me and we'll talk about that. We're going to talk about his upcoming Vampirella and some other stuff in his career as well, too, of course. So CJ says, talk about why comic book fans turn the blind eye on AI. Man, I guess it'd be kind of an angle. I don't know if I completely agree with that, though. I feel like, if anything, it's kind of at the forefront of most comic book fans.
Yeah, CJ, I don't know if you were here the whole show, but there's an interesting spot in the beginning where we were talking about James Cameron and the new Avatar film, and they're going to have a placard at the front of the movie that says no generative AI was used in the making of this movie. So we had
definitely making a statement. Yeah. And then we definitely had a discussion around AI based on that too. But that's an interesting one. I mean, and I guess you could kind of make the argument like people who are vocal about AI versus people who just read comic books and don't talk about it. That's kind of true for a lot of topics, I guess.
I'm taking some notes here. Chris also said what makes for a good comic convention.
Yeah, and I was just going to highlight that. That's an awesome suggestion as well.
So I'll put down the AI one.
And I don't mean to be cynical, TJ. It's I think every time we talk about AI like as a topic, I feel like people almost kind of and this is what you're talking about, by the way. So I kind of understand that. They kind of almost roll their eyes because I think people think when it's going to happen, they kind of rehash the same things over and over. Now, hopefully, whenever we talk about something like AI, we try to bring up some new points or try to approach it from a new perspective. And I get that that's kind of in line with what you were just saying. So there's probably some juice in there to squeeze still. Absolutely.
Well, we totally gave him the props for that.
As we said before, no generative AI, which is not the same thing as saying no AI, as Mickey was kind enough to point out in the chat earlier, which is kind of the salient point we were talking about there, is that there is other kinds of AI out there, not right. Demonized by most of the population.
Well, like we're saying, the AI is baked into a lot of things we use on an everyday basis. So,
including the algorithm that probably led a lot of people to this video one way or the other, or to the channels or whatever,
your maps feature on your phone or your GPS and stuff.
I'm gonna do a rare shout out here for a video that has nothing to do with most things that we're talking about. However, I think it has everything to do with what we're talking about literally right there. There's a great channel I love called Technology Connections. He's been around for a very long time, does a lot of deep dives on forms of technology, things from LED lights to how dishwashers work to how a toaster really knows when your toast is done, all these different kinds of things. Super great channel. He did a very different kind of video for him recently where he talks about how and why algorithms are kind of ruining the internet, which is in his literally in his own words is a very shake your fist at the cloud kind of video for him to make. However, I think he's spot on in a lot of ways. And I think that absolutely a great video to go watch. It's about half an hour long. So fair warning, he makes very long videos usually. However, if you're willing to kind of watch it, at 2x or whatever you do, or, that kind of thing, or you just like long form content, I think it's a great video to go watch. So highly recommend.
So to go along with recommending a video, I'm going to say, we're talking about people who are picking up a pencil and paper for the first time to do some artwork and have never done artwork. There's a video by, I forget if he has 3 or 4 T's, Matt, M-A-T-T.
Oh yeah. He
had a video about I tried drawing for, I think it was 30 days or 30 days or 40 days or 50 days, however many days. And he's like, and here's the progress. And it was really cool. It was a really interesting video. And I think if you're just starting out, he has a lot of cool insight to people who have never done any drawing before.
Right on. I'll go check that out.
Yeah.
And you know what, CJ, I have to agree with you. People are very hypocritical about a lot of things, including that. So, yep, you're 100% right there. Okay, final parting lineup, and then we're out. Comic Trope says Falcon, Aunt May, her corpse, Happy Hogan, Moon Knight, and Morbius.
So are we getting like some Marvel Zombies DNA in here with Aunt May's corpse?
I hope so. I hope so. And I love like Happy Hogan and having to be teamed up with Aunt May's corpse. And I love Falcon just kind of in there as the one normal guy who doesn't have like something weird going on.
Pretty much. He's the only. Yeah, that would be an interesting lineup. You got the Happy Hogan. We have the whole crush on Aunt May's corpse, right?
He'd be like with his dead girlfriend the whole time. It'd be crazy. I love it, Chris. But on that note, we kind of went way over on time. Luckily, the power never went out. Yeah, and the power never went out, so I think that was a sign that we were supposed to keep going that long.
That's right.
And yeah, I hope everybody enjoyed the show. Again, we loved you sharing all of your lineups as well. Still make sure you do that in the comments because I'm sure we'll get back to them and share them if you do. Hope everybody has a great week. Hope everybody has an awesome time out there. Be safe, everyone, and don't forget to go read some comic books.
Like, comment, subscribe, do all that good stuff.
You can do all that fun stuff.
Share your love of comics with everyone you meet.
Because
you never know where it may lead you.
Exactly.
It might lead you to hang out with a bunch of cool people like we got to do tonight.
Exactly. A lot of great people in the chat, and we always appreciate the chat. So thank you so much, everybody. All right. Have a great night, everybody. Catch you on the next one. Peace.
Join the party. Head over to our link tree to find all the links for everywhere the experience is all the time.